They don't half do some good products, do the NLR and the teams over at GridFinder. Hello, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome aboard to WOR Legacy Division. This is the next round of racing, round number 14 here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Thank you very much for being alongside us for this one. It is Jota alongside PGS James Head himself once again for what I'm sure is going to be an exciting bout of racing. But a quick recap on what we experienced last week, though, from what was a really intense Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. James, you obviously missing for that particular race, but nonetheless I'm sure you're caught up on what was an incredible race in the end, which saw Veloce really close down that gap to F7R, and of course Team Shazoo also earning big points as well through Cameron Dowds.
Yeah, definitely. So Enzo, of course, taking that race win in Abu Dhabi last week. Kian and Daddlepad finishing second and third. Very good result for Veloce Academy. Them adding into the standings, well, it is very interesting, I think, in terms of the standings coming into tonight as well, in terms of teams. And I'm going to get that up in a second, because apparently I don't have the standings alongside me right now. Hopefully they're up on the stream, though, while I'm going through this. They are fantastic. Right, I'll take them off the stream and instead it'll be quicker than me trying to find on my iPad. But it is Outplayed Racing that lead the way on 435 points. F7R in second on 406. And then Veloce Academy in third on 380. 435 to 406 to 380. Permutations-wise, coming into tonight as well, OP will win the championship if they outscore F7R by 45 points or more, if they outscore Veloce Racing by 19 points more, if Veloce do not win, and if they outscore Veloce Academy by 20 points or more, if Veloce Academy do take the win out on track. But it is Brazil. It's going to be fascinating out on track. And speaking of Veloce Academy, Sammy Chempsey already on top with a 107.7 with his first lap in qualifying.
Of course, he's the only one out on qualifying one at the moment. The rest of the drivers setting their lap times on intermediate tyres at the moment as we go to the live stream then, and we can see there they are getting themselves warmed up, to say the least. We do have one driver out at the moment on our lap per se at the moment, and that is none other than the Aston Martin team. That is the belonging team to the Bunga Racing team. Former Parnell Racing, of course, was furious, but he is currently on the medium tyre in this Q1 session. Of course, if you are familiar with the typical format of Formula 1, the bottom 5 will be knocked out of Q1, while of course everyone else will get through. Then the bottom 5 from the next one will be knocked out, and then the final 3 will go for the shootout for pole position. As it stands, though, at the moment, it is the Veloce Academy already flexing their muscles immediately out the blocks with NLR's Marlon just coming across the line. 1:11.976, not representative lap time, I think, on the soft tyre. Aston Martin, the Bunga Racing team, it's a sort of question of what ifs really for that team, to be honest with you, because I always said that they are a team that I think would need to sort of show that they could flex their muscle if they have that consistency. And you know what? Remember back in the qualifiers, James, Bunga Racing team were the team that managed to think, would they qualify with exactly the same qualifying lap time between the two drivers? And just throughout the rest of the season, that consistency just hasn't existed.
It hasn't existed, but I think from Furious's perspective, he's actually failed coming into the pit lane. From Furious's perspective, he had a fantastic race in WOR Console Tier 1 on Friday. I think took the win, if I'm not mistaken, and really, I think, has came alive in this part. Of course, formerly part of Parnell Racing, so he has got that expectation coming into tonight. BRT as well, him now part alongside Lou. There are 2 qualifying bans, by the way, tonight as well. OP Ryan has got a qualifying ban. Very, very intriguing to see Outplayed Racing have that qualifying ban from last week. And also one of the NVR drivers, even, of Lucas, who has got a qualifying ban as well. I believe that might be because of a late change, if I'm not mistaken. Gilles, my favourite Frenchman, is on the run up the hill in towards turn number 6 of Farah. He's got a Red Bull just in the way on the right-hand side. He's looking quite good as he comes through this part of the track. But Sammy Chempsey out on top, Harvey second, Markador's there in third. Not representative time so far. Everything is going to go according to plan. Hopefully, as well, I can notice on my end that it is a little bit stuttery on the stream. Hopefully, we will be fixing that, though, as the night goes on. GLG, though, in the middle sector, while we get those things fixed. At 51.4 in the middle sector. Very representative. Purple in the middle sector should be going quicker than Sammy Chempsey here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keeping a very firm eye on then Gil then. And I am also trying to monitor the situation with the drop frames at the moment. At the moment, the drop frames are not showing on my screen, but they are showing in the stream, which is very weird. So that tells me it might be a YouTube issue, but he comes across the line. 108.292, so a little bit down on Sammy Chempsey then in the end for the G League driver, but he'll be happy nonetheless to be in there as well. Just keeping an eye out as well on Lou. That's the other BRT driver. Now he has gone out on a set of soft tyres, and I must say that overcast clouds out there are looking particularly dark at the moment. Now, of course, we don't get a weather forecast as commentators, so we don't know what to expect here, but those clouds are looking a little bit precarious here, and I'm wondering if at some point we may be expecting a little dabble of the rain in the qualifying session, perhaps even in the race as well. It's typical that of Brazil. As he comes across the line now, does BRT Lou with his lap time and goes second fastest, 107.9.
Yeah, 107.9, very good lap time there from the BRT man. Sammy Chemsey, though, still out on top. He's actually just gone up on another run and validated, actually, on that run as I ride on ball with him. Likes of F7R Yossi about to get on a run as well. F7R Yaron, he had a good race last night in Austria and PSGL, so he has got very good ground to try and make up. We've got Matthew Hall, though, formerly NOX Cindery, of course, just starting on a run, coming to the left-hander turn number 1, through the right-hander of turn number 2. Julian Locke there in the chat, I'm sure, is going to be here, the Twitter admin for Veloce Academy. We'll see what the man is going to do out on track, Matthew Hall. Sammy Chemsey was a 16.9 in the first sector, and he's about 100th off through that first sector, so very, very good so far from Matthew Hall. Now run up the hill in towards Ferradura at turn number 6. Yono Truly, Nelson Piquet, Timo Glock, all making contact with one Fernando Alonso in 2009 already here, and the problems coming through from Jonathan the God. Hopefully there's no problems here tonight for the drivers out on track as Matthew Hall comes through the left-hander of turn number 9 and then through the right-hander of turn number 10. This is looking like a very, very good lap so far. With half the qualifying gone, Sammy Chemsey out on top, Blue in second, GL in third. Matthew Hall's middle sector is very good, 50.9, quicker than Sammy Chemsey in the middle sector, only by 100th of a second. They are level pegging in terms of their lap times right now, as Matthew Hall now comes through the final corner. If we see drivers, by the way, taking the run of turn 15, they may end up getting the qualifying ban. Matthew Hall avoids that to the line. Does he go quicker? No, but look at that consistency. Sammy Chemsey in the end, 600 to clear Matthew Hall, but Veloce Academy are 1-2.
Yeah, Veloce Academy showing the pace I think that they've been looking for quite a while, to be honest with you, and they maybe just be able to close down that gap even further on F7R with those 2 rounds to go, including this one, of course, round number 14 at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Thanks very much for being alongside us for this one, folks. Let's just go on to board with the G League's Ethan. Of course, G League, another team, a question of really what ifs for them, really, because again, they were sort of the shock team to actually get through to WOR Legacy Division this season, but in the end not really able to get their season going. 8th place the overall as of round 11, which is for some reason I picked up entirely the wrong sheet, but nonetheless they've not really been able to pick up a round of points with only the 1 third place and 1 second place this season, as Jose goes fastest for F7R with a 177 himself, 3,000ths of a second faster than Sammy Chemsey. Here comes G League's Ethan as he comes across the line right now and goes 6th fastest with a 178, and that just goes to show what this season really has all been about, because you take a look at those standings at the moment and the top 5 are separated by under 1/10 of a second. Blisteringly quick out there at the moment.
Yeah, blisteringly quick, and look at the top 3 covered by less than 100th of a second as well. Nico adds himself into the mix there for FRT. He goes into 8th position. FRT's Harvey there in 11th position as well. He actually was 6/10 up, so I think he's backed up, and I think he's hit a little bit of traffic in that middle sector from one of the Aston Martins. Brandox and Matteo for ET8 are coming through the final corners as well. Looks like Matteo is on a run first. He's now on the run toward the line. He's normally a specialist around here in EML back in the day, and a 107.9 sets him up into 12th position. Brandox now to the line, though, betters him and goes 9th. And look at that lap time with Ethan only 100th clear. Very good lap time from Brandox. Brandox here to play. You'll see out on top, though. Sammy Chemsey in second. Furious there in third. Top 7 covered by less than 1/10 of a second out on track. If that's not console racing and close-knit console racing, then I'm blind. Oh,
here comes Novus Racing's Axe, and he's only separated as well by 132,000ths of a second, which just goes again to show how quick it is out there at the moment, as it looks like someone else has come across the line as well. Looks like one of the Alfa Romeos has come across the line, and more lap times coming in. But as it stands at the moment, the drop zone is only a little bit over 1/4 of a second, separating you from being able to get through to Q2 and being knocked out of qualifying. Look at those times at the moment. Everyone in the top 16 in the 107s, and I think ET8 with Matteo is going to be absolutely livid, because he'd think a 107.9, he'd think, oh, not too bad, I probably will be all right. But look at how close that qualifying is in Q1. That is going to make for a serious contention for pole position. Every 1,000th of a second is going to count out there. The only driver yet to set a representative lap time is FRT's Harvey. He's about to come across the line now. We'll see how the Haas comes, as he only goes 13th fastest, a 107.9 for himself. And there we have it. Apart from G League's Gil, who didn't set a representative lap time on his soft tyre, everyone in the 107 107s at the moment, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. Less than 2/10 of a second separating first from 17th place.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about. The future is bright here on console. I can literally say that from being PSGL, WOR, Legacy Division, and console Tier 1 this season as well. The drivers are very bright. GLG, by the way, is actually going to go on another run. The Alpine is on the run up the hill in towards turn 1 at the Senna S. Yossi from Sammy Chansey from Furious, the top 3. I think everyone has got to get out there for another lap time just to try and make sure they are absolutely confident that they're getting through into Q2, because drivers can improve 2-3 tenths of a second around here on a set of soft compound and tyres. GLG is 1100s up through the first sector, matching the first sectors there. Yossi feels like he's done enough. Now, if the drivers improve, the likes of Ethan, for example, the likes of Brandox, Harvey, Roofy, they all improve ahead of Yossi with the 107.7. Yossi all of a sudden is in trouble. They think they've done enough. I would be just a little bit circumspect on this, thinking that you've done enough, and then actually going out there. I think Furious might actually go for another run. Same with Cameron Dowd, same with Matthew Hall, just to try and assure themselves that they're through into Q2. GLG, though, was looking very good, I've got to say, on this lap so far, looking tight and neat now through Jun Sao and towards turn number 12 and a 51.2 in the middle sector. Wow. He has got very limited ERS, though, on this run. We see BRT's Lou, I think, going 8th position as well. So another man into the 107.7s. GLG, though, I think, is going to be a little bit behind. He might even go slower than Mateo here, and he does. 108 flat, but still top 18 covered by, what, 3 tenths of a second, that is. Brilliant lap time. Remember, Lucas and Ryan both out, of course, the qualifying bands.
Yeah, and here we have Yossi, Sammy Chemsey, Mark Adars, Matthew Hall, Cameron Dowds, Jerome. They are all out of qualifying with, well, I say out of qualifying. They're all finished with qualifying. They're happy with their lap times. I would be as well if it weren't for the fact it was so close to being knocked out here, as I'm just keeping a firm eye on what Nico is doing for some reason. It looks like he's got his foot and his feet both planted on the acceleration and the brake pedal at the moment, perhaps trying to warm the tyres up, weirdly enough, but that's definitely not a way to try and get yourself ready for a hot lap there, sir. Try and get on it if you can. Axe for Novus Racing as well. Also, he'll be happy with the 107.8 in normal circumstances, but again, look how close it is to the dropout zone for him. He could excuse me, miss out on around about half a tenth, and he could find himself in some serious trouble versus those around him, especially considering as well, we've got to look at the sort of drivers around us at the moment. So Gil's struggling out there at the moment for G League, but you've got Harvey out there who is always a consistent runner. He could be up there for FRT, really, you know, knocking on the doors of those in front of him. Shazoo Tom, we'd expect more pace from him as well. So just a couple of hundredths of a second and you could be in a completely different scenario going into Q2. This is epic, to say the least. It looks like the bottom 8th from 18th place are all deciding they're going to have another go at this one. They feel that they're at risk.
Yeah, 11 drivers. I think that's going to happen out on track. Lou potentially could be safe. He's got a little bit of a buffer between himself and Axe. Nico, though, isn't safe at the minute. 16th position, 107.969, and he is now on the run in toward the end of the first sector. Through the left-handed turn number 3, down the Descida de Lago, in towards turn number 4, and a 16.9 in the first sector. Slightly down, but he can improve in the middle and the final sectors respectively. He now comes through the left-handed turn number 5, but he actually backs off. So Nico is done in terms of his first run. He has got more time, though, to try and set another lap time. He's got, I think, around 2 minutes still on the clock, but a minute and a half even on the clock. So Nico there can go for another run. Roofy's on a run as well in the AlphaTauri for NLR. He's now currently in 15th. He's in the drop zone right now as it stands, or borderline on the drop zone. A 107.920. Looking good, though, through the middle sector. He's looking very, very strong through this part of the lap time. A little bit of snap of oversteer, but nothing more, nothing less from Roofy. He's now comes through the middle sector. And he's 10th and a half up, and he's got a little bit of slipstream going on from one of the Mercedes in front, and that's Brandox, I think, that is just going on for his run, just ahead of him. Roofy, this is not allowed, by the way, but it is just circumspect to what this is. Roofy's got to get well in here, and he goes second, and he actually goes quickest.
It goes that toe is lethal, but he hasn't gone quickest on my screen. He has got the joint pole position with Yossi, a 107.706 for the both of them on my screen at the moment. But that just shows the lethality of the toe, and that in itself might have put Brandox, ironically enough, in serious trouble here. He's invalidated his lap as well, so he is now going to be done for qualifying. If other people in front of him are going to have a serious possibility of being able to jump here, and that will put him in serious danger. And I'm wondering as well, because he had that little weave, didn't he, on the straight, so that told me he wasn't expecting to give a toe, and lo and behold, he's got a little bit confused and perhaps just just made that error. Here comes then Gil as he comes across the line. He then comes across the line now to start his lap indeed, as we've got more laps coming in, and it is Tom that is going to be the person that you're calling out here, who is now a quarter of a second up, and it looks like he's going to be heading towards a really cracking lap here. Could be in the 107.6s as he comes across the line. Make it the 107.5s. What a lap from Shazoo Tom, who now gets through to qualifying 2. No issue whatsoever. But that just goes to show, doesn't it, the pace out on circuit at the moment, as Marlon comes across the line for NLR and goes fastest with a 107.565, 4,000ths of a second faster than Tom. Really, really quick lap times coming out here as well. Mateo is also going to be up a couple of tenths as it stands. Nico goes up to 13th and is through as it stands, though Mateo comes across the line, goes 9th fastest. G-League's Ethan will come across the line and he will be through to Q2 as it stands, but G-League have one driver through at least. We do have one FRT driver. Harvey is out. Brandox is out. Gil is going to be out as it stands at the moment, with Lucas and Ryan, of course, not qualifying. They are serving a qualifying ban. Here comes Gil as he comes across the line, and then he's looking to try and improve if he can help it. We do have a lap time also potentially coming in from Axino. He pits, and no, Gil also pits as well. So that will be it for qualifying. And there it is. Look how close that qualifying one was in the end between the runners. You are knocked out of qualifying if you are just a bit over a quarter of a second slower than pole position. Unbelievable stuff.
600ths of a second in the end between Ethan and Brandox for 15th and 16th position. Unfortunately, Mateo was the one that knocked him out. So ETA have got one driver through, one driver out, all at the expense of Mateo being quicker than the likes of Matthew Hall and Cameron Dowd. So very good lap from him, from his perspective, for ETA there in 9th. Axel there in 8th position. He felt like he'd done enough. G-League's Jill was down in the first sector. He made a mistake at the top of the hill, coming through turn number 10, and that's what put him back on his lap, and that's why he was a 10th and a half down in that middle sector. But a very, very strong qualifying session. That's only Q1, by the way, and they've all separated by 4,000ths of a second for the top two. Absolutely marvellous. It is Marlon out on top from Shazoo Tom there in second, Yossi in third, Rufy there in fourth, with the de facto slipstream that he got from the Mercedes ahead of him. Sammy Chempsey there in fifth, with Furious in sixth, Markados in seventh. And look at that, Yossi to Markados is 9,000ths of a second, covering 5 drivers. Absolutely incredible. Axe there in eighth, with Mateo in ninth, Matthew Hall 0.2 of a second off there in 10th, and Cameron Dowd, Jerome, Lou, Nico, Ethan top 15, and it was 3.5 of a second, or 3.25 of a second for Brandox there in behind the leader. He's out in as well as Harvey, G-League's Jill, NVR, Lucas and Ryan. Both of them had qualifying bans respectively. But out on top, Marlon from Tom, from Yossi. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it should be a good one, this one, because I think we've got a bunch of drivers all within such a close proximity of each other. You've got drivers like Markados, who I know is such a perfectionist when it comes to racing, and he's going to look at that and say, how am I 7th with a lap time like that? So you're going to start to see, I think, some people begin to really push on here and become like they're just trying to find that extra 10th, and you're going to see mistakes here and there. I mean, we saw that, didn't we, with, I think it was one of the ET8 drivers who was looking like he was just trying to get on with a lap, didn't realise he was giving a tow to a driver that was pretty much fighting him within 4th position in qualifying, made a mistake, and he's out. So this is what it's all going to be about now, moving forward into the next set of events. When we've got Q2 now coming up, it is going to be a little bit of a spicy affair immediately out the blocks here, but I want to know specifically, now we're going through into Q2, what the plans are for these drivers, because of course, remember, now we're in this new game, of course, we're not going to be having any of that nonsense relating to, you know, you need to be on a medium tyre for qualifying. It's an old rule, we've got rid of that now, so it is all going to be about pure pace. But who is going to elect to go on that old soft first, or is anyone going to even think, no, I'd rather save a set of softs for strategy purposes, because this circuit, very good on tyres historically, you could get a soft quite a long distance.
Yeah, soft compound tyres around here are going to last you about 12 or 13 laps in terms of the race perspective. So if that is the case, the tyre wear is actually a lot higher compared to F1 22, for example. The tyres are a lot higher on this game compared to the previous. So that is why I think we're going to see drivers potentially go on a used set of compound tyre and then transition to a fresher set about halfway through qualifying, maybe towards the end of qualifying as well. We could even see potentially the likes of OP or Veloce Academy or even F7R have one driver in a set of used, one driver in a set of softs, and then transition onto a U set for their second and only runs. They can save that fresh set of soft compound tyre for Q3. So it is going to be very fascinating to see how on earth the drivers get on out on track. Speaking of F7R, by the way, Yossi is the first man on a lap, coming now down in towards 10.15 and now towards the set of S's at turns 1 and 2. And we'll see what the Swiss man, he was swirling like a Lindt chocolatier back in league racing in the last couple of weeks, and now comes through the right-hander at turn number 2, now through the left-hander at turn number 3, now down the Retroposter in towards the infamous the Cedar Lago at turn number 4, where we saw the two Ferraris of Vettel and Leclerc crash. 16.8 in the first sector. Yossi quicker than what Sammy Chemsey set in his first run in the first sector, so Yossi looking good so far. Now coming up the hill in towards turn number 6 of Ferragura, he is absolutely on it, like a car bonnet right now. Quite literally, if you saw the GTA trailer, you might be on a car bonnet, as now Yossi comes through the right-hander at turn number 8, then through the left-hander at turn number 9, and now we're at the highest point of the track at turn number 10 at the Ranha. CRG there in the chat saying, do they have to start on the tyres they qualified on? No, they don't have to start on the tyres they qualified on. They can start on whatever they want. But Yossi in the middle sector is a 50.8 in the middle sector, already quicker pretty much than what I was seeing, certainly in terms of the quickest lap times there in Q1. And now we'll see what Yossi can do on the run to the line. Is looking very, very strong from the Swiss man. He is now on the run to the line. Is he going to go into the 175? No, 107.6, but already quicker than the benchmark we saw in Q1.
Yeah, and his teammate going 107.7. Yossi, though, I must admit, setup-wise, definitely lower on the ride high. Axe goes fastest then for the Williams team of Novus Racing. They now go with a 107.5. Tom 107.6 once again. PR Furious, exactly the same lap time as Jerome. And Marcados 107.6 as well. So once again, incredibly close qualifying lap times coming in. Cameron Dowds 107.504 goes fastest. That's for the team of Shazoo at Alfa Romeo. Here comes BRT Lou, comes across the line fourth fastest, 107.652 on this occasion, 6 thousandths of a second faster than Marcados, and once again finds himself in the depths of 5th and 6th and possibly 7th place. Mateo comes across the line, not representative you'd think from the ET8 driver, 107.894. Nico is looking to try and get a lap time in as well. A little bit dodgy on the steering. I have a sneaky suspicion he's going to be struggling on the lap time here as he comes across the line right now himself. He'll set a lap time of 108.693, expecting more from the Future Racing team on that occasion. Both of the NLR drivers have just left the pit lane, so they are just about to get going with racing. Matthew Hall for Veloce Academy also yet to leave the pit lane and set a lap time himself. But as it stands so far, well, we're carrying on exactly where we left off.
Yeah, pretty much so. Just be careful, by the way, in terms of the qualifying times that are actually being set. They're coming to the line about 2 tenths ahead of where their actual lap times are. It's just a little bit of a spectator glitch that I've got going on my end, so I'm not sure if that's carrying forward to the stream. But if that is the case, then the drivers have still got a little bit more time in them as the session goes on. But Cameron Dowd on top, Axe there in second, Yossi there in third. Very good lap times being set by everyone. The NLR pairing of Marlon and Rufy look like they're going to go on runs very shortly indeed. Marlon's still in the pit lane, but Rufy is definitely going to go on a run. Nico there down in 12th position, 108.693. Definitely not competitive, but I think FRT, their job's done. They want to get one, I think, into Q2. Nico has done that, of course. The other Haasman, of course, of Harvey out in Q1, unfortunately. Only about a tenth of a second between him and the danger zone in 15th position. But Rufy there, just about to start up on his lap. The NLR man is looking to try and now improve ahead. Potentially Nico, Matteo, Sammy Chemsey. And as it stands, if it was to stop as it is now, Sammy Chemsey would be the man in the danger zone. 107.842, Matteo 107.894. Luckily, though, we've still got 9 minutes to qualifying left.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on sort of strategy, as well as keeping an eye out on the chat as well here. Just keeping an eye on Joseph, who's currently been put in Room 101 equivalent of the WOR chat at the moment for saying hashtag NLR bin as we go on board with NLR Ruffy at the moment. It was looking to try and get on the board himself here. No bin lap time here at the moment for his first Sector 1, though. Looking strong, a little bit of a tank slapper, though, going through the right-hander. And he's going to be wanting to just keep it nice and tidy now through these next set of corners and obviously just power it out of Jen Xiao and make his mark in NLR, of course. NLR managing to qualify quite nicely. He managed to get that lovely toe off of, it looks like Raul Mateo's teammate it was in the end on that one, Brandox. And just keeping an eye out as well as he goes through John Xiao. Actually, he's the only driver that's going to be on a lap, so we'll stick on board with him as well to see what his lap time looks like as he now heads down towards the straight, of course, and sets his lap time on the case here for NLR, looking to try and get on board himself. 107.7 is what I think he's going to be looking for if he can help it. Fortunately, he's miles off the pace, 108.0, and perhaps an old set of soft tyres for him. And I was just mentioning him keeping an eye on strategy as regards to setups. You can see how the car behaves on the curbs versus you know, for NLR there with Ruffy. It looked to me as if it was just a little bit more stable, wasn't it, through the corners, whereas Jose is he seems to be beaching ever so slightly on his lap. So although he managed to produce a 107.6, he's going to have to try and stay off the curbs if he can help it, because I think he's bottoming out ever so slightly at the moment, though. Looking pretty sharp with 8 minutes to go in Q2.
Yeah, definitely. So Matthew Hall's just on his run, actually 16.8 in the first sector. He runs wide coming through turn number 4, showing a bit of Max Verstappen-esque coming through there at turn 4. Now running up the hill in towards turn number 6 of Ferradura. One of my favourite sections of the track this. You've got to really be on the throttle and on the brakes now. Coming into turn 8, in toward the left hand of turn number 9. Remember, your own Furious in there, same lap times as well. We've got Lou and Marcos very close to each other. Yossi just ahead of that pairing as well. Pot Ferme, by the way, is off within the lobby. There's a little bit of controversy going on in the Discord about it, but Matthew Hall's through the middle sector regardless. 50.8 in the middle sector. Of course, if there's an illegal blocking penalty, then we will, of course, restart as we go forward, and we'll see what Matthew Hall can do as he now comes in toward the final corner at turn 15, the final technical part of the track on the run to the line. Does he go quicker? No, goes third. 107.621. But he's 100th clear of Yossi. Yossi, however, though, is actually back to the bottom, 500th up in that middle sector, out of Jun Sao, through to beat those boxes at turn 14. The F7 man definitely cooking on something. Is he going to cook ahead of Cameron Dowds, though, on the run to the line with the Swiss man? Good. He goes quickest by 200ths of a second.
107.4. As I said, he needs a big lap here, and he's managed to get himself on the board with that 107.4, and F7R showing and flexing the muscle that they want to try and take Outplayed Racing under a lot of pressure here. It's worth making note, by the way, of course, that Outplayed Racing Marcos is out on there on his own at the moment. Obviously, the Outplayed Racing team only with the one driver through to Q2, so it's going to be pretty critical here. Marcos sets a pace here, because, of course, the last thing that Marcos needs here is for him to be out-qualified by a bucket load of people, especially that of F7R. Just keeping an eye out to see who's coming across the line. Looks like one of the Aston Martins has come across the line himself, and one of the McLarens has just come into the pit lane here. Keeping an eye out on Cameron Dowds at the moment through the second sector himself, 107.5 for him. But looking fairly sharp, you'd have to say, as we go on board with Marlon for NLR. Looking, he needs to get a lap time on the board himself, and pretty soon, actually, because he hasn't got a lot of time left if he wants to try and get through to Q3. Obviously, NLR branded a great opportunity to get through to Q2. The question is, can at least one of them get through to Q3? As it stands so far, neither of them are doing so.
Yeah, neither of them are doing so. Indeed, Macho there, who I think might be engineering for the Shazoo pairing, mentioned about Cameron Dowds, who was actually going quickest, 107.3. He was on a used set of compounded tyre. I don't think he is now at that lap time, but the 107.3. Bit of a mistake, I think, there from Yossi coming through the final corner. He's actually bailed into the pit lanes. He's actually just set on his run. Drivers are out of sync towards everyone else. Sammy Chempsey's 9/10ths down. I think everyone is pretty much done in terms of their second run. So I think Cameron Dowds was out of sync towards everyone. But if that was him on a used set of compound tyre, a 107.3, I do not believe that for 1 second. I think that was on a fresh set of softs that he was on. But a 107.5, if that was on a used set of compound tyre, tell you what, that guy has got an absolute boatload of talent. He was PCF1, of course, podium setter in Spain, I think it was, in PSGL. And he has dropped down now because of the driving standards over there on PCF2. Coming back to console, where he belongs. My first ever commentary was with him in PSGL F3. And look at him now. He's out on top from Yossi in second, Lou there in third. Cameron Dowds definitely got a boatload of talent, and he's proving that right now in Legacy Division. 38 thousandths of a second separating P7 from P10. Guess who? Both Veloce Academy drivers between 7th and 10th place as it stands, and that is a minuscule amount of time between whether you're going to be going for pole or whether you're going to be sitting in the second set of positions that you'll be knocked out in this qualifying for WOR Legacy Division. This is round number 14 at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Thank you very much for being alongside us for this one. 85 of you tuning in tonight for this early qualifying session, and I tell you what, as it stands so far, we have got a monumental qualifying ahead of us here for pole position. We've got one of the Veloce Academy drivers immediately setting himself out there. He's not comfortable at all, and I believe that one to be I believe it's Sammy on this one. No, it's Matthew. Matthew Hall is leaving. A former Cindery, of course, is going to be out on his way. I remember the old Cindery Siren days, actually. I think it was back in the... when was this? What league was that one? TSRL, I think it was back in there. Tier 6, I think it was, with good old Ewan O'Leary. Nice to mention that name back in the day. But he is out of sync, isn't he, Matthew, with the rest of the field, and he just doesn't feel comfortable being 38 thousandths of a second away from being knocked out of qualifying, especially with Veloce's good form at the moment. They need every 10th they can get. I've got to be honest, looking at Yossi all the way down to Nico, it's less than 0.2 of a second covering second to 11th, and there's only 0.02 of a second between Sammy Chemsey and Nico. So that is the danger zone right now. You cannot get any closer, bar maybe going 0.02 quicker than everyone else. But Sammy Chemsey and Nico, that is the danger zone right now. If I was like Yossi, Lou, Axe, Tom, I would not be confident at all. I'd be going out there to go on for another run. That's what Matthew Hall is doing. That's why I think he's out of sync to everyone else, just so he can actually get everything on in terms of this. He's there in 7th position, looking to try and get on the board for Veloce Academy. Of course, the Veloce Academy Twitter admin, I'm sure, is going to go in wild if they get both of the cars into Q3. But it is, for now, Cameron Dowd's out on top. Yossi second, Lou there in third. Normally, from a used set of compound tyres on a set of softs to a fresh set is around about a 4/10 average gain in terms of lap time. So if we're seeing that from Matthew Hall, we could be in the 107.2s by the end of the session.
Yeah, we're looking for 107.2s. I'm expecting we're possibly being... You know what? I'm going to even put it out there that I might be even seeing a 107.1 out there as well. I think that's going to be a wonderful opportunity by the end of this session, to say the least here, as I've just seen Bolero Fox in the chat just absolutely screaming at the idea of bringing back TSRL Tier 6. I mean, that was one hell of a tournament way back when as well. I've still got clips of that installed on my computer. I might republish them in a bit, actually. It's good old memories, that one, wasn't it, Bolero Fox? And and then you just got Luke in the chat saying, what's a TSRL? As well, he's begging it, is old Luke. But here comes Matthew then as he's coming around. Oh, there's a big tank slapper, and I tell you what, that is precarious to say the least. I'm wondering if he got caught out by a driver. It allows a lot of smoke coming out of the back of that Mercedes. I'm wondering if it was another situation of someone piling the acceleration and brake pedal, but that was one hell of a tank slapper. Well caught, though, to be fair, from old Cindery Sire and Matthew Hall. So he's going to have at least another go at this one, but now they're going to be used set of softs, and I tell you what, he's going to be, I think, at least a little bit happier that he's come out a little bit early, because at least he's got a bit of time.
He does, but Matthew Hall, I'm going to see where hopefully the yellow flag gets removed in the middle sector so we can actually see what time he's crossing the line. It's going to be around a 107. This is going to be close. I don't think he's got enough time to recharge his battery and then go for another lap. I think this is it now for Matthew Hall. He's there in P7, absolutely on the tenderhooks. Veloce Academy going to be in with heads in the hands, I think, quite literally right now. Marcos, though, was improving just ahead of him. He's 600 up in that first sector. We've got Tom coming through the final couple of corners as well. I'm just trying to see who's furthest on. On a run, Furious is one of the furthest on in the Aston Martin, a 50.7 in that middle sector, a 10th.5 improvement, trying to now find the time. Coming to the right-hand return, the left-hand, return number 15, the Aston Martin to the line, goes fourth. Not a bad lap time at all there from Furious. Marcos as well as coming through the middle sector. He is looking huge in this middle sector. 50.7 again, matching what was Furious's time in that middle sector. Cameron Dowds, though, was sitting pretty at the top end of the timing screens. Yossi there, still in second. Jeroen there going fourth as well. Yossi is up by 600ths of a second in the first sector as well. And at the minute, Sammy Chemsey is out of qualifying, and he could well be out of qualifying because he's 300s down through the middle sector. On the run to the line for Sammy Chemsey, and the Canadian is out.
Oh, wow.
Veloce Academy, Sammy Chemsey is out. Marlon could actually bring Matthew Hall into play here, but Marlon spins. Marlon spun, coming out of turn number 12, similar to Kimi Räikkönen taking off onto the grass there in 2012. Nico's improving in the first sector.
Matteo coming across the line, 0.006 of a second. I thought he was just about to beat Matthew to the line, and that would have put him at serious risk because we've got a good lap time coming in from Nico for FRT as well. But it looks like Matthew might just be able to get through the skin of his teeth. Nico looking to come across the line. It's a 51-1 now. It's not a good one. Tom coming across the line, and it will be a Shazoo 1-2 at the end of Q2 here. F7R got Yossi in third, then you got Lou for BRT in fourth. Jerome is fifth. Marcados again, wondering how he's in sixth place here, and it's just all out there at the moment to suggest who's going to be on pole position, but Shazoo have got the advantage as it stands here as Roofy's coming across the line. He's 4/10 of a second up on his fast lap. He comes across the line right now, and he goes up to sixth fastest for NLR. NLR have got, I think if I'm right in saying that, NLR have lost out on one driver through Marlon, but Veloce Academy are very lucky to get one driver through to Q3 at the end of that by 0.006 of a second.
Very, very lucky indeed. And look at the gaps as well. Marlon to Sammy Chemsey, 0.006 of a second as well. Talk about symmetry here in sim racing. Matteo and Matthew Hall. Matteo very unlucky, by the way, to get through. Matthew Hall has scraped through by the skin of his teeth there in 10th position. May belong in TSRL Tier 6 by the end of tonight, but he is through into Q3, luckily, for Veloce Academy. Sammy Chemsey, though, in 13th. Disappointing from him. Marlon, I think, is a bit of a shock as well. I know Marlon is very strong around here, normally in the dry, in Brazil, so that's a bit of a shock for me for NLR. Sammy Chemsey, though, the real shock there, down in 13th. Unlucky for some. Can he now actually translate that into a bit of luck in the race? Time will only tell. As drivers people are mentioned in the chat there, Shazoo on a title charge, a very late title charge, albeit, but Tom out on top, Cameron Dowd in second, Yossi there in third. Am I surprised that they're on two in the slightest? No, they are very strong around this track, both of them.
Well, I mean, it's a good lap, that one from Rufy, which obviously sends out ET8's Matteo. He's going to be so disappointed because he thought he'd just managed to sneak in. And you know what? Those 6 thousandths of a second, that's why I screamed his name as he was coming across the line, because I was thinking if he beats Matthew, and we've got the likes of Nico, who I thought was on a quick lap, but then his second sector wasn't particularly great. But then that lap time that's coming from Rufy could have actually sent both of the Veloce drivers out, but Matteo missing out 6 thousandths of a second for ET8 in that one in the end. But there it is for Shazoo, who are, I mean, they are the most consistent runners out of them all, 3 thousandths of a second separating Tom from Cameron. Great racing indeed between those runners as we head through into Q3. And of course, in that one, both BRTs are through, both F7Rs are through, both Shazoos are through, one of the NLRs is through, one of the Outplayed Racing, and one of the Veloce, and one of the Novus Racing drivers is managed to get through as well. So precarious stuff, to say the least, at the moment, James, as we head through into Q3. Anybody could be grabbing pole here, surely.
I nearly jumped ahead of you there. Yeah, very much so. It's going to be very precarious, I think, in terms of qualifying. But what is good is there's a very good representation of teams there, I've got to say, from I think at least 6 or 7 potentially in terms of the teams represented there in Q3. We're just waiting on Lou to ready up. Hopefully this is not going to cause any issues, but we are going to see him readying up very soon indeed, and then we can get transition, of course, forward into Q3. But Tom Adam top, Cameron Dowd in second. They were only separated by 3 thousandths of a second there. We're on the borderline for 107.2, maybe even a 107.1. We could see as well drivers potentially to use up, just to run very close to each other, maybe have an illegal blocking penalty or two here and there, which I hope we don't. I hope we get through Q3 without any mishaps, but it is, for now, Tom out on top, Cameron Dowd second, Yossi in third at the end of Q2. But what is to behold, though, is definitely now, what are the drivers' thoughts going into Q3, and how are they going to cope with an absolute boatload of talent here on the grid?
Well, here we are then. So we've got 12 minutes and counting before we crown a pole position winner here in the Brazilian Grand Prix. And I think if it's anything to go by for the last couple of qualifying sessions, anybody could be on pole here. And I think if anyone could find that extra 100th of a second, extra 1,000th of a second, they could find themselves earning big in this qualifier. So it is the first driver to be leaving the pit lane is actually going to be what was formerly Parnell Racing's Furious, now of course belonging to the Bunga Racing team, leaving out in the Aston Martin. Both of the BRTs through as well. This is a great result for Bunga Racing team to have both through to Q3 as they try to set a precedent ahead of the next season. Of course, try and get that consistency flowing. And of course, some great drivers also joining the Bunga Racing team in Furious. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops, throughout the rest of this season, through Christmas, and then obviously into the next one. But he will be the first person to set a lap. He's taking it very leisurely out there at the moment, though.
He is very leisurely indeed. Veloce Academy are not happy, by the way, on Twitter. They posted Matthew gets blocked by a rival car during his final push in Q2, makes it through in P10. Sammy is out in P13. So Veloce Academy are not happy with potentially the blocking that might have happened on his lap. Matthew Hall got through in 10th position, so I don't see any form of complaint. Sammy Chemsey, though, down in P13. Really unfortunate, I think, for him to be out. All he's now going to focus on is the race in hand. He is a very good driver. Veloce Academy should send all of the weight behind him to try and get up the field. Brazil is one of those tracks where anything can happen. And once Murray Walker once said, anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does. And it usually happens around here in Brazil. Anything can happen. What we're going to see from Furious, though, on this run is now comes in towards the left-hand return number 1.
Yeah, here he comes then going through into turn 1. It's going to be a critical initial set lap here. I think, of course, we're expecting this to be a used set of softs. I would expect at this early in Q3, but some people may elect to decide to use the softs up here if they don't intend to use the softs, for the race. So obviously the soft tyres do last a while, and we are expecting possibly medium soft strategies here, possibly a hard though if necessary. Oh, he's invalidated his lap though as Furious on this occasion, so that he will, I'm hoping, continue on his lap actually, so that he can set an early precedent to see what he would have done on this lap here as he then heads through into the next set of corners. We'll keep an eye on that one, of course, as we've also got BRT Lou as well, who takes a very weird line going through that right-hander actually, very close to the curbs as opposed to skipping out wide, but then he'll head now through the left-hander and try and keep the car as close as he can to those curbs without mounting them too hard and causing a beach. Goes through the right-hander as he then head down the hill towards Jun Xiao. We might be getting a slight block ever so slightly from the McLaren there, but nothing too extraordinary, as then he heads through into Jun Xiao and he'll power out of the corner. The first initial lap time for Fury. Oh, he's out on the track though. He's beached the curb ever so slightly as well. The last thing that he needs on that occasion. Furious dives into the pit lane. He does not want to continue on that lap or even set a precedent, but here comes the Aston Martin BRT of Lou as he will then set the first initial ground of 1:07.8. We are expecting faster lap times from there, but he definitely lost at least 3.5 tenths, beaching it on the curb at Jun Xiao.
Yeah, very unfortunate, I think, actually, from Lou. It was a good lap, though. 107.8 is pretty much sort of my pace around here, to be honest, which is really good to see. The BRT man is no mug, I've got to say that right now, and he's there out on top. He's currently leading the session. Yossi's the next to come across the line, and he is looking absolutely consistent as anything through this middle sector. The Swiss man now swirling his 150.5 in that middle sector, the fastest middle sector I think we've seen all night, as now comes up the hill in towards Sabida's boxes at turn 14. We see now Yossi definitely going to the top of the timing screen. It's going to be around about a 107.2, 107.3, I think, for this banker. Yossi to the line, 107.240. Big statement lap there by the F7 Arm, the quickest lap time we've seen so far. Matthew Hall, however, is responding in that middle sector. He's a 10th down on Yossi in that middle sector. Veloce Academy's Matthew Hall to the line, 107.3 in the end, about a 10th and a half off on Yossi. Cameron Dowds now through the middle sector. He is fastest out of everyone in that middle sector. The Scotsman, possibly a new flying Scotsman on the scene here as he now comes through the left-hander. Obviously, the beat of those boxes at 10.14. Now through the left-hander, turn 15. Cameron Dowds is electric. Cameron Dowds is going pole here. Cameron Dowds does indeed do that. 107.211. Only 300ths of a second. The 300th of a second around here is like a lifetime in qualifying.
I wouldn't count 107.211 as being pole around here at the moment because we've got some blisteringly quick lap times coming in. I'm expecting this one from Cameron Dowd's teammate Shazoo Tom. Both Shazoo drivers are absolutely killing it out there at the moment around Brazil as he now heads through into turn number 4. It's going to be a pretty critical corner here. We're expecting a bit of racing happening here a little bit later on after qualifying, but here he comes then through that left hand. Oh, well placed from the Alfa Romeo driver as that Shazoo Tom tries his hardest. He'll hit the breaker marking around about 30 yards from that line, going here, hits it, nails it through there, and then takes it through that right-hander, and it is actually an absolute blinder, losing the rear ever so slightly, trying to find the grip, but he does get it, and the car does react quite well, actually, as he then heads into the right-hander. It's actually a really good set of lap times coming in here. Lock up from the Aston Martin, trying to stay out of the way, I believe, of Furious. Here he then goes into Jun Xiao. We'll see what his Sector 2 split. It's a 50.6, so he's a little bit down on Cameron Dowd's lap time here in the second sector, but it is still going to be blisteringly quick. The question is where is that car going to be versus the likes of Yossi and Matthew Hall, who are very, very close on the back heels here. He comes across the line now, does Tom, and makes it a Shazoo 1-3, managing to beat Matthew Hall by 39 thousandths of a second, but can't beat Yossi on 107.240. It's 107.341 for him, though.
Judging by the blackness of the tyres, actually, especially on the front left compounder tyre on board with Tom, it looks like that might have been a used set of compounder tyre. And if it was a very, very strong lap. But pretty much the blackness going through the middle of the tyre just indicates to me they're slightly scrubbed. So that might be a used set of compounder tyre that he was on. If not, it's still a very good lap there. Third position from him. Marcados is going on another run, but he actually backed off, I think, on this run. Same with Axe as well. Axe, I think, is on a run. I'm not sure. Well, let's do the middle sector. 50.6. He's fastest out of everyone according to the screen. but has a huge snap of overseer. Coming through Junsao at turn number 12. Furious as well, just on up on another run as well. He's through that middle sector as well, but Axe now is on the run towards the line. It's Cameron dead from Yossi from Tom, and Axe is out of fuel, and he's just missed the pit lane, which means he's got to do another run now on this compound tyre, and we're out of fuel as well. But the 108.9 is relatively a decent benchmark, but I think he should have just came in the pit lane there.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to run out of fuel, you might as well just pit, but now he's going to do an entire lap at slow speed, and that is the last thing you want to need. I know it's a quick lap round here, but without any fuel, that could be a real problem. While this is all happening, by the way, a critical situation happening at Ferrari at the moment. Outplayed Marcados. He is coming into the pit lane he's coming back into his garage, actually, without a lap on the board, so that is it for him. He's got no other opportunity to set any kind of banker lap. He's got to go out there, and he's got to set a precedent. And that is something I'm sure Marcados, though, has got plenty of experience in, but it's the last thing they need when they're under pressure from a serious contention here from F7R and Shazoo and Veloce Academy with Matthew Hall in fourth. Obviously, they are in a little bit of a bittersweet situation with losing their second driver in Q2, but that is going to be one hell of an event ahead of us, that is for certain there. But as it stands so far, that is what your lap times currently look like. And at the moment, pole position separated by 28 thousandths of a second. The top six separated by 3/10 of a second. So a little bit of a wider margin. But is that because we have a mixed bag of new and soft tyres on at the moment, I wonder?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Certainly from Furious to Roofy, definitely use set of compounded tyres, I would say, for your own. Maybe Matthew Hall, maybe Tom in that as well. But the top two, I think, maybe on that use set of compounded tyre that they say from Q2. It's going to be interesting, though, with OP, with Marcados there down in P10. OP have got to win the championship, only if, though, they outscore F7R by 45 points or more, outscore Veloce Academy by 19 points or more, and if that's Veloce do not win. And at the minute, with Matthew Hall in fourth, doesn't look likely at this stage, but anything can happen, of course, within the race, and outscore Veloce Academy by 20 points or more, and that is if Veloce Academy win as well. So OP, currently, I think, on 435 off the top of my head, 406 in second for F7R, and 380, I think it is, for Veloce Academy off the top of my head. Again, if I'm a point or two off, I don't mind, but that's just off the top of my head, so we're going off what I've literally just said there.
Well, I'm just keeping an eye out on people at the moment who are doing a little bit of racing between them each other now as they get on with the final set of laps coming out now across the board here. So we've got plenty of people who decided to go a little bit out of sync. So like some Matthew Hall and there's NLR's Roofy, all electing to go out a little bit out of sync with everyone else. So we've got a bunch of people just leaving the pit lane as well. So there's about 3 groups out there, really, isn't there, at the moment, of people just trying to get themselves ready for what will be their final hot lap at this Brazilian Grand Prix qualifying session at the moment. So in the end, no rain will fall on the track, but the overcast conditions has meant that the track has kept cool and collected, which allowed people to bury the tyres into the ground, heat it up to the optimal temperature rather than overheating it, and that has allowed for some blisteringly quick lap times, and we are expecting 107.1s. Could we even see lap times lower than that one, I wonder, with 2 minutes to go? I wonder indeed. It looks like the first person sets a lap time, though. Oh, the first person to set the last lap time of the session will say, go to NLR's Roofy. James, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, going to be interesting. I think Roofy, has certainly overreached himself in terms of his personal expectations coming into tonight, but he's there in, at the minute, P7, on the run down towards turn number 4 to Cedar de Lago. He's 3 thousandths down in the first sector, so Roofy looking quite good through the first sector. Matthew Hall's first sector, just come around on board with him very quickly. His first sector split, he's just coming through this now, and a 16.7 through the first sector from him, and he's 200ths up on his lap time. So Matthew Hall looking quicker than Roofy right now, but Roofy with that 16.8 in the first sector, looking good. Trying to improve this lap time, 107.7. The grip will come to him in the middle sector and indeed in the final sector, respectively. So Roofy has got to get now on the board. He's looking a little bit rough coming through the right-hand return number 10, and that is not a pun, by the way. Roofy now coming through the left-hand return number 11, the 50.9 in the middle sector. Not bad, but it's not great either. I think he needs to be well up, truly up there. He's out of sync towards everyone else. He can't go again, so this is final run that he's going to set. Matthew Hall, by the way, in that middle sector, 50.4. So he's looking huge in that middle sector as Roofy comes to the line. Does improve, 107.6, doesn't improve his position. Matthew Hall, though, is coming now towards 10.15, 10.5 up the middle sector, looking to try and get out of Cameron Dowds, and he does, and he goes third. Same lap time, though, as Yossi. That's Matthew Hall done. Yossi improving in the first sector. Cameron Dowds improving in the first sector as well. And Yossi actually is coming through the end of the middle sector. So bear with me for a second, because he is just coming now towards the middle sector split. Is he improving in this middle sector? Yes, by 10.5.
Wow. That's going to be a blisteringly quick lap time I'm expecting here from Yossi then, as it looks like his teammate has just gone above him 23,000 of a second. Markados goes 4,000 of a second slower than Cameron Dowds, but here comes Yossi, who's looking like he's going to be setting an absolute blinder of a lap time, 1:07.099, but we've still got lap times coming in thick and fast from people, and we've got potentially
Cameron
Lou comes
Dowds
across the line as well. We've got Cameron Dowds looking to try and improve as well. He's only a half a tenth up in the second sector, but he was up 18,000 of a second up in the first sector. Is he got enough pace as he comes across the line right now? He's lost out on pole by 7 thousandths of a second to Yossi in the end on that particular lap. Disappointing for Team Shizou, but great Scott. It's great performance from F7 Yossi, and the Swiss man will be happy indeed with that one. Markados misses out on pole by just over a tenth. Matthew Hall will not be improving either. Jerome will not be improving either. I think that might be about it here. We are still waiting on Novus Racing Axe though. He's 93 thousandths of a second up in the second sector. He was 7 thousandths up in the first. That means he's exactly a tenth up as he approaches the line, mounts the curb for some reason. That's not going to help his lap time either, but he will come across the line. Will Novus Racing be able to get off the foot of Q3? They will. Managing to go 9th fastest overall, beating that will be NLR's Rufi by just over 3/10 of a second. Pole position separated by 7 thousandths of a second, and the top 5 separated by less than a tenth and a half. James.
Yeah, very, very close indeed. The Swiss man tames the Scotsman in second position. It's Yossi out on top from Cameron Dowds in second. Markados in the end got his lap time in, and fair play to him. He's out-qualified Jeroen and Matthew Hall for third position, and he's, 200ths of a second clear of Jeroen, and he's still 2,500ths clear, and Matthew Hall there in fifth. Big lap time under big pressure there for Markados for OP. Very close all the way out on track. Yossi takes it by 7 thousandths of a second. Cameron Dowds there in second, though, will be looking for the last lap up the front row of the grid, and we've seen with Yossi so many times over the past few seasons, over the past few weeks, in fact, as well, his driving has come into question slightly, but I know Yossi on his day is one of the best on PlayStation, one of the best on console, and Yossi is there along with Cameron Dowds in second. This is going to be one hell of a fight on the first lap of the race.
Certainly looking forward to seeing what we've got coming up. Then we'll take a very quick look at those results. Actually, it just appeared on my screen right now as I've just cut away to the cameras. There you go. And there it is, 1:07.099. We did get into the 1:07.0s in the end by 1 thousandth of a second. And it's the Swiss man, F7R Yossi, taking that pole position. 7 thousandths of a second separating pole position, though, from Cameron Dowds. He'll be disappointed with that one. Shizou showed some serious pace out there, as will Tom as well. Tom is down the order less than a quarter of a second, but he will be wondering where he's lost that 2/10 from. And Matthew Hall, a respectable 5th place, but Veloce are on the back foot now versus F7R, who have got some serious title contenders here with Jeroen battling it out with Markados on the second row. And of course, look towards the middle as well. It is going to be a shared third and a fourth row visit for Lou and Furious in 6th and 7th. And then, of course, NLR will be happy to get one driver through to Q3, but he was well off the pace down in 10th. So in the end, it is a really, really good performance from those people out there at the moment. But F7R have showed the pace immediately out of the blocks. They put Outplayed Racing under pressure. They're not likely to take a title tonight as it stands, or Outplayed Racing. F7R could be closing that gap further. And remember, big points on offer for winning a race here in WRLD. It's not the standard 25 that you'd expect for a race here. It is, of course, the full 40 that you might expect in that one. We'll be back in just a few short moments after this quick break for a very intense Brazilian Grand Prix. See you in a minute. Welcome back then to WOR Legacy Division. It was a seriously intense qualifying. We were about a minute away from the race then. Quick highlights of that qualifying session. Everyone was in such a close proximity and pole position separated by 7,000ths of a second, James. Anyone could have got it, but it went to F7R and Yossi smashed it. Apparently you're muted, and apparently you are muted. Apologies for that one. So you've just went through some wonderful commentary, and I think the racing is about to get going, actually, by the looks of things. They've gone a little bit earlier than I anticipated. We are going to get going as the red lights are out, and we are racing here in Brazil. And I tell you what, the drivers are going to be looking like they're going to be making a little bit of an effort immediately down the blocks of Cameron Dowd from Yossi around the outside, who does, though, make a very early defensive effort to try and hold on to the lead of the front from Jerome and Marcados in 4th place. Of course, remember, his teammate Ryan did not qualify, so he starts at the back and he's in 20th place. Towards the back, Marlon also losing some positions left, right and centre, down to 18th place as it stands here, and possibly 19th and even further. Brando making some gains there for ET8. G-League up into 15th rather, as well, with Gil in 17th place. Marlon, though, down to 19th and settled. Marcados, though, losing the rear ever so slightly as he tries to battle here, and a little bit of a dive. One hell of a dive from Jerome on Cameron Dowds. Everyone on the hard tyre, by the way, in this race so far. That just shows you the strategy call-up, except those for F7R who are on the soft.
Yeah, Lucas in strife at the back of the field as well. He's been caught up in an instant. I think that GL and Marlon might have got very close indeed. Mateo and Sammy Champsey are getting very close through the middle sector as well. But Yossi and Yaron on that set of soft compound tyre, dominating affairs out in front. The F7R team first and second right now. Ryan, the only other one, by the way, on that set of soft compound tyre, down in 17th position, so getting 3 positions off the race start. Here is Sammy Champsey, though, on the back of Mateo. Mateo actually comes right back into the clutches there of the Red Bull, running down towards someone. Slight bit of lag spiking going on, but Sammy Champsey, the Canadian, down the inside of Mateo, the Italian, through the right-hander of turn number 2, then through the left-hander of turn number 3, and then side by side. And now Nico joins in on the fight as well. Brandox is not too far behind either, but Sammy Champsey there in 11th. There was a big snap of oversteer. I think it was from Marlon, if I'm not mistaken, who had to go off track and recoil on course there and down in 18th position. That's why he's so far down the field. Gil has came into the pit lane for a set of mediums, and that is the end of lap 1. Now onto lap 2, as Ryan is now he's into 15th ahead of Ethan.
Yeah, apologies for the little rough start there. I wasn't expecting people to be readying up that quickly, but we wanted to get on with the racing clearly, and I don't blame them, to be fair, after that intense qualifying session. Nonetheless, everyone separated by such short margins. We get on board with Outplayed Racing's Ryan, who really wants to make some inroads, locks the rear up ever so slightly and trying to make an overtake on ET8's Brando, but is not able to make any inroads going into that corner. He might look for Jun Xiao, but he comes then into Jun Xiao, stays behind, and he's looking to just get the traction out of the corner, use a bit of overtake and get it done. Possible race strategies are not incorporating the use of a soft tyre at the start, so it is a little bit of a mixed bag there. Jerome, though, comes across the line and goes faster than Yossi on that particular lap. Just shows that F7R are just going to pull each other now for the rest of this race here. You would expect take maximum points as they can, as right in front it looks like there's a bit of a chase happening for 12th place. Nico, though, is staying in 13th as it stands in that one. Towards the front, though, Marcados is able to make some serious inroads here on Cameron Dowds, as he is going to make the route move, and he then overtakes Cameron Dowds for 3rd place using the lovely juice of DRS, and he's now up to 3rd.
Yeah, really nice positioning of the car there, actually, by Marcados to the inside line. Very late on the brakes. I thought it was almost too late on the brakes, but in the end, what do I know? Marcados through, he's into 3rd. Cameron Dowds in 4th. Matthew Hall there in 5th. We're seeing Ryan progressing through as well. In unlucky for some 13th position. He's got Mateo just ahead of him in front. But the set of soft compound tyre, they go for around 6-7% a lap, actually, around here. So by the time they get to around lap 8, lap 9, the best of the softs will have gone, and then the hards will really begin to come into play from about that point onwards. So Yossi and Yaron will come back into the clutches of Marcados and Cameron Dowd, Marcos and Cameron Dowds now need to work together. They might hate that, but it's a fact. They need to work together to try and get close to the back of Yaron and Yossi. But Yaron and Yossi, because they're running their DRS trainers now. Rufi's going to attack Lou in towards turn number 1. The AlphaTauri man to the inside line on the back of the Aston Martin. Beautiful job done. And Tom trying to get his nose in as well in the Alfa Romeo. Cameron Dowds is right on the back of Marcos as well, coming through turn number 3. And he might now try and get the favour, but he is absolutely not going for this move down the straight, as Tom is going for the move down the inside through turn number 4 to see the logo. Beautiful stuff from Tom. He's into 8th, but Lou is going to try and bounce back up the hill in towards Ferradura, but it's not good enough. Tom Throonies into 8th.
Yeah, so BRT at the moment are hemorrhaging positions. It looks like BRT James in the chat asking for the telemetry on. There's a reason why I don't do that. It's when you don't see your opponent's ERS batteries, my friend. So no is going to be my word on that one. Apologies, my friend, for that though. Really, really good stuff though from those that are on the soft tyres at the moment. Ryan and Jerome and Yossi obviously managing to make their own race happen here, but of course those soft tyres do last a while around this circuit, but you wouldn't expect them to be, too quick versus maybe the medium tyre after around about lap 6 or 7. The fact that everyone else is on the hard tyre may be of massive benefit to them, as it looks like Jerome and Yossi are actually going to swap positions. The F7R have instructed don't even try and battle the old teammate, just let it happen. And Yossi at the moment is actually hemorrhaging time and hemorrhaging ERS at the moment, so he's kept his car in overtake mode by the looks of things, and he has got absolutely nothing left in the tank. Is that a critical mistake from F7R's Yossi, I wonder?
I think it might be, but looking at the longer term, as Ryan's going to look for the move on Sammy Chamsey, Veloce Academy against OP down the straight and towards turn number 4, and I think the Canadian's just going to put Ryan out on the grass nearly, coming through turn 4, now up the hill and towards Ferradura. Ryan's still going to be side by side with him, but he actually backs off. Sammy Chamsey there into 11th, but the OP man is like the rash that never goes away. He's on the back of Sammy Chamsey. Again, looking to the inside line, can't find his way through there in 11th and 12th position. Ryan will definitely try for that move again, though, possibly in towards Johnstown, then possibly up the hill in towards turn number 1 once again. But F7R, you've mentioned that about Yossi's ERS usage, 22%. I think this is more for a longer-term gain. They're going to be out of sync towards everyone else, but they're going to have such a big undercut on everyone else.
Looks like Outplayed Racing's Ryan making a slight mistake, crashing into the back of Sammy Chems, who gets caught out by a mistake from the axe of Novus, or Novus of Axe rather, as that mistake ends up occurring. As a result, Outplayed Racing's Ryan has now made the overtake on Sammy Chems. And while this is all happening, it is double gain for Outplayed Racing. Marcados has re-overtaken third place out of Cameron Dowds, as they will continue to swap positions, I'm sure, throughout this entire race with that DRS train. But yeah, you were saying about the ERS management of the two cars in front at the moment. Now, of course, Yossi and Jerome obviously have burned through all of their energy just so that they can make that gap and they can start pulling each other along with DRS. And of course, whilst the rest of them behind are battling, they'll just gain time. So is that actually a strategy call just to take the L on the amount of energy that they've got and the horsepower that they've got in the engine, knowing that they're going to be able to pull the gap anyway, I wonder? Cameron Dowds, by the way, just hanging onto the back of our players Marcados, no issue at all. Actually, a better exit from Marcados on that particular occasion. While this is all happening, Outplayed Racing's Ryan is still in this train, and he's actually hemorrhaging time himself because he's used up all of his ERS as well. So now he's just got to try and make some inroads using the power of the soft tie versus the hards.
Yeah, definitely so. But back to my point, Yossi, I think, is actually going to go for the race lead here on the back of Yaron. They're going to swap down in towards turn number 1. Yossi now ahead of Yaron in towards turn number 1. They're working together really well. It's going to be for a long-term gain. That game is for the big undercut that's going to occur down in towards the second half of the race. They're going to pit in around about lap 13, lap 14, I would suspect, and then go on to a set of medium compound tyres, potentially to try and get 22 laps on that set of mediums to the end of the race. So watch out for that, because Yaron and Yossi, they're playing an absolute L right now in terms of their energy usage, but it is a W coming in terms of their long-term goal. If we don't get a VSE or a safety car, they are absolutely going to be miles ahead of Marcados and Cameron Dowds, and there is not a single thing, unless they begin to use up their ERS now, that the pack in behind can do about it, because F7R have gone for absolute broke. They want to try and get as many points as possible. They're 1-2, cannot get any more. I think they've got the fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken, as well with Yaron right now, so that's another extra point going their way. So it might be an L in terms of ERS usage now and in terms of the tyres, but it's a W later on in the race as Lucas picks up his first 3-second penalty of the night.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye out and looking at the sort of situation as regards, I don't know what's happened. My nose, for some reason, is just clogging up for no reason, apparently. But I'm just keeping a firm eye on the standings at the moment as we do get another overtake happening with Cameron Dowds now making the overtake on Outplayed Racing's Markados. Markados not making too much of a deal of it and relegates himself back down to 4th place. Oh, my goodness me.
Matthew Hall's got into the back of Markados, and I think that might have been a little bit of lag more than anything else. But Matthew Hall, I think Markados just lagged back slightly into him. It's the real hard knocks of running here with Xbox and crossplay. Not every lobby is going to be absolutely equal. But Matthew Hall there into the back of Markados, he's got away with damage. Luckily, it's very, very slight. It's very, very slight bit of contact, but it's contact that knocks him back about 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, potentially send some damage as well on the case. It looks like Matthew Hall's actually, that little instance that actually just invigorated him further. He's now getting up to the close and personal to the back chuff of Markados at the moment, who's looking to try and get some inroads there. Well, a little bit of a tank slapper as well, going through the right-hander as well. Looks like the car is not feeling too stable at the moment for Outplayed Racing's Markados. He's actually lost a bit of time here to Cameron Dowds. He'll getting back under DRS, of course, but Matthew Hall is looking like he might want to have a little hand at 4th place here, I wonder. Uses the overtake, and he is keen, actually, to get close here to Markados, and he is getting closer and closer. Yossi and Jerome cross positions here. DRS now open, but Markados is beginning to pull away here, and it looks like he's going to make the inroads to get the overtake done, and does get Cameron Dowds back on the straight here. That, to me, is not just a case of Markados obviously having a fantastic race etiquette as an individual, but also I think it may also be relation to his setup as well. Lower downforce here, because Cameron Dowds is immediately able to put the pressure right back on Outplayed Racing's Markados, as the turns obviously are not going to benefit him. I wondered if that's a setup thing, you know.
Yeah, they're forfeiting each other quite a lot of time, actually. It's 4.4 seconds. The gap has reduced by about 2 or 3 tenths of a second over the last 2 laps or so. So if that is the case, Cameron Dowds and Markados, I think that they've got to let this personal grudge or whatever it is, the overtakes basically that they're doing and forcing the time. Because look, it's now 4.1 in the middle sector. Those set of soft compounder tyres, as I say, do not last long around this track. And already we're beginning to see the hards come into play. So Yaron and Yossi, I think, have gone too hard too early. That's what I mean about taking an L early on the right and then getting the W with the undercut a little bit later on for the F7R team. But Cameron Dowds there in 3rd. We are going to see a swap, by the way, between F7R for the lead. Yossi, once again, is going to try and really get and really joust there with Yaron. Try and get him now on the verve, as Markados is going to pass Cameron Dowds in towards turn number 1 as well. He is through and he's into 3rd. Nicely done down the inside line. And I think Rufy is taking the defensive line there on the back of Tom in towards turn number 1 as well. But F7R leading the way for now. Cameron Dowds, though, is once again right back at Markados. Coming through turn number 3. He loves that turn number 3, the Scotsman does. And he's through and he's into 3rd once again. They're chopping and changing positions, but it doesn't benefit anyone right now apart from the 2 leaders.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Cameron Dowds absolutely adores turn 3, and again, that is just a combination of him being brave on the throttle and also having a really, really good etiquette with as I said, with the acceleration pedal, but also the setup is quite clearly it's a way of trying to anchor the car down on the ground as he comes out of corners, which that's something Markados doesn't have. You can quite clearly see on the straights how much time he just gains just purely by the slipstream that he has, or the lack of air resistance off of the car from the lower downforce setup. But that's hemorrhaging time through turn 3, which is just allowing Cameron Dowds just to have the position back. You'll see here once again Matthew Hall relatively close here, might try to get within close proximity of Markados, but the moment that DRS opens, that Ferrari just absolutely flies down the straight, and look at him just go and go and go. Is he going to make the move going into 1? He's learned his lesson this time, James. He's going to stick back.
He is indeed. I'm watching Rufy as well on the back of Tom. I thought Rufy was going to ruffle some feathers, quite literally there. The NLR man in 8th position. That is a very, very decent fun, I've got to say, from my perspective.
I'll give you that one.
Tom there in 7th, Rufy in 8th, Lou there in 9th. But everyone's just sitting on a big old DRS train right now. I think Cameron Dowds and Markados have got to force the issue. They have got to really work together. Drain that battery if needs be, because the gap now is 4.5 seconds. It was 4 seconds, 2 laps ago. So Cameron Dowds and Markados, they need to work together. I don't think they will because of team strategy and everything, and maybe just sticking to their plans. But everyone with Yossi and Yaron, they've got to split one of their drivers, as Yaron has a big snap of oversteer there coming out the top of the hill at turn number 10. One of them has got to split their drivers, and I think if I was in F7R shoes, I'd put Yossi in because Yossi's got the least amount of VRS to burn, so he can act as a wingman. So Yaron there in 2nd. Yaron there's now on the back of him, coming in towards turn number 15, turning towards turn number 1. They swap once again. Yaron leads, Yossi there in 2nd. But if I was F7R, I'd actually bring Yossi in first rather than Yaron, and let Yaron go for another lap.
5 seconds is the difference between the pair of them as Marcos once again elects to just stick back behind Cameron Dowds of Team Shizou Alfa Romeo Kick Formula 1 team. As we're just having a look at World Online Racing, popping a chat in there just to make us know of the current situation. F7R, as it currently stands at the moment, will have a 16-point lead against Outplayed Racing in this championship, which of course will take it all the way to the final race of the season in Las Vegas. As it stands, the Veloce Academy will be 72 points back. Sammy Chempsey really not able to make any inroads at the moment, down in 12th place, is costing Veloce Academy an opportunity to potentially battle out for the championship themselves. Shizou are going to be earning big time as well, so Veloce might be looking over their shoulders as well as we keep an eye on Ryan. 11 lap old soft tyres. These soft tyres should be coming off fairly soon, I wonder. So is he going to start making some inroads against the drivers in front of him, or is he going to make a pit stop? We have a spin out for the first time in this race. It looks like it is the Williams Novus Racing driver of Lucas. So he has spun going through turn number 5 by the looks of things, and that will be a big L for the Williams Novus Racing team, as we'll just keep an eye out on Outplayed Racing's Ryan. Is he going to make the jump, I wonder? He's going to stay out a little bit longer, and he's not going to be using any overtake. He's barely got any left. In fact, he's actually going to get overtaken by Sammy Chempsey, of all people, who now promotes himself up to 11th. Outplayed Racing are now starting to hemorrhage time with Outplayed Racing's Ryan on these soft tyres, but he's still, sorry to keep going on here, is still actually keen to get this move back again, I wonder. He's going to stick within the tow. Is he going to look for the move on these soft tyres, or is he going to hack back? Going into Casino del Lago, he stays exactly where he is in 12th.
Yeah, hemorrhaging time and hemorrhaging positions and hemorrhaging points as well for Ryan. And Ryan now, because of that loss of position, that's another extra point that F7R have got on OP in terms of the standing. So what was just mentioned there, they have a 16-point advantage. They now have a 17-point advantage. And every single point counts. Sammy Chempsey, by the way, it's almost as if he's just joined the race, as Axe has had a huge moment there, and Sammy Chempsey has no quarrels about getting that up the inside line through turn number 10. And Axe and Sammy Chempsey now side by side. The American-Canadian has Marcos has spun on the inside line as well. Marcos spins coming through turn number 11. That is an absolute disaster for OP. And as I said, hemorrhaging points, hemorrhaging time. F7R delighted. They're going side by side down this straight towards turn number 1. Yossi retakes the lead. Jeroen in second. Cameron Dowds in third. Mateo now on the back of Ryan. The wheels are quite literally falling off OP's title charge right now.
Is this the point that we say that Outplayed Racing have officially bottled the championship that looked to be so set in stone for them earlier on in this season, and they are now, as it stands, going to be losing they're going to be hemorrhaging a bucket load of points versus those around him. Sammy Chempsey now up to 9th place here, and Veloce are suddenly starting to look like they've actually begun a little bit of a charge in this race here. And of course F7R are still leading from the front, but with them pulling each other along with DRS at the moment, it's no wonder that they're going to be in the prime position. But remember, as regards to strategy, what are the hard tyre runners going to go on? Because they could go onto a softer tyre by going onto the softs, while F7R will be forced to either use a medium or a hard. So don't ever credit F7R with definitely the lead here, because I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit closer than one may think when Cameron Dowds and Matthew Hall get strap on either a set of medium or soft tyres. That is to say the least. And big up BRT, by the way, 5th and 8th at the moment. They've kept their race clean and consistent, and they're going to be earning big points as it stands as well.
Yeah, we could see actually a scenario with Cameron Dowds and Matthew Hall. The longer that F7R stay out, the longer that the guys behind will stay out as well. They're on that set of hards. They can carry forward around about 20, 21 laps on that set of hards before they really begin to hit off the cliff, and then they can transition to that set of mediums, maybe even get a set of softs to the end if they are very lucky. But Yossi and Jeroen, the more that they stay out, the more they've got to hurry up in behind. Cameron Dowds and Matthew Hall, 3rd and 4th, they've almost given, I'm going to use a horse racing analogy in this, they've almost given Frankie Dettori about 100 length start in the Epsom Derby, and they can't catch him. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. They cannot catch the F7R guys. The time now beginning to tell, 4.7 seconds, it's just beginning to make a little bit of inroads. But if I was in the F7R shoes right now, I'd pit one in this lap, one in next lap, 20 laps on a set of mediums, can work, and then get to the end of the race. And then everyone else is just going to have to be scrambling in behind like little ants trying to find their way out of a hole. They've got to literally do that now. Yossi and Jeroen still staying out for now. Cameron Dowds in 3rd is going to come under pressure from Matthew Hall very shortly indeed. But the longer that they sit back, the less opportunity they've got longer term in terms of the in terms of the race, as Ryan has bailed coming into the pit lane, and I think that's the right call.
Yeah, the first time the soft tyre runners have decided that these tyres have had enough, and to be honest with you, I'm looking towards the front. The gap at one point was around about 5 seconds versus Cameron Dowds versus Jerome and Yossi. Despite the fact that they've got a DRS tow between each other, they're now down to around about 4.3 seconds, and they're losing time, especially around the next set of S's here. I'm wondering if F7R now are going to bail at least one of their drivers through here. The issue is that have they gone one step too late? I wonder. If I were them, I would have pitted one driver now and one driver next lap. But as it stands so far, it looks very much as if one driver could be in a little bit of trouble here when the pit stops happen, because these hard tyre runners could go on another 5 or 6 laps, and of course that is just going to hemorrhage time versus everyone else. The gap is only 4 seconds now. It's falling very rapidly here. Of course, the DRS will help going down the straight, but I'm wondering if one is going to have to make a pit stop now. Someone at F7R has got to make the call to pit. Are they going to pit either of their drivers? I wonder. One person surely got to be coming in. Neither of them are coming over. There we are. One person is coming in. Jerome has decided he's had enough on the soft tyres. That is to be expected. And now this is where the hard tyre runners begin their set now. This is such a critical stage in the hard tyre runner strategy now.
I personally think that's a lap too late. I really do think that's a lap too late, because the set of hard runners now are going to have the undercut for this lap on your own on the set of mediums. He's going to be struggling throughout the first half of that lap, and everyone else in behind have now got to make the inroads on Yossi. They're going to gain about a second, I would say, on this lap. On the back of Yossi, that gap will whittle away. It'll be around 3 seconds, but the longer that Cameron Dowds and Matthew Hall then stay out, the less likely it is for them to try and get back in terms of an undercut. So we're back pretty much at square one from what I was saying earlier on in the race. But Cameron Dowds and Matthew Hall, 3.7 seconds. Yossi is having a huge moment in terms of oversteer. He is not liking that car right now. He's not liking those tyres. He needs to fail to come into the pit lane. 3.5, 3.4, going to be 3.3 coming through this part of the track. I guarantee you this, but Yossi, coming through turn number 12, now has got to pit in. Everyone making the inroads in behind, but now the chance will swing once again, because Yossi now comes in the pit lane. Everyone else is going to stay out on the side of hard compound tyres in behind, and now Yossi and Yaron are the ones that's going to be gaining on the side of hard runners in, as Rufy and Lou are into the pit lane. And I think personally they've got to bite the bullet. They've got to come in from further down in that hard field. And now Rufy, Lou, and Ethan, I think, have done the right thing. They've come in when Yossi is pitted, and I think that's going to give them a big undercut later on.
This is critical now, because, of course, Jerome here was behind Yossi going into the pit lane. Now, has that medium tyre undercut worked a treat for Jerome? I wonder if it has, and it certainly has. So Jerome is now going to be pulling Yossi for the rest of this race on these medium tyres. But, of course, those on the hard tyres are electing to possibly go on the softs here in this one here, as it looks like here we've got a little bit of an incident involving Rufy and Ryan getting into a little bit of a battle. But in the end, Rufy electing to yield to the blue flags, as he is expected to at the pit lane exit, as we get another 3-second time penalty, this time for FRT Harvey in 10th. But as it stands so far, those at the front, we've surely got to expect that they're going to be pitting for a set of softs, probably within around about 4 to 5, maybe 6 laps. And of course, Jerome's got a 6.5 second advantage with clean air, so that will obviously be a massive benefit. The question is, will the soft tyres go the distance? And I think they certainly will. There's a first hard tyre runner coming in, and it's BRT's PR Furious coming in. I expect that's probably a medium going on.
Yeah, definitely. So Mateo, Axe, and Nico all following in as well. We'll see the rest, I think, come in and over the next 2 or 3 laps, I would suspect. So that means everyone is jumping ship, going on to that sort of medium compound tyre. Here is Rufy, by the way, passing Ryan down the straight in towards turn number 1. Literally like shot out of a cannon he was to the inside of turn 15. He gets the job done. He's through, he's into 9, and he's not too far off actually on the back of Furious, because there is Furious coming out of the pit lane, and he's going to be miles behind. He's going to be in behind his teammate. He's going to be side by side potentially with Markados running towards turn number 4 if he's not careful. I think he's going to come out just ahead. Molon though trying to get on the back of Markados. These two old stalwarts from PSGL back in the day as well, now going pretty much side by side as they come now through the left hand of turn number 5 and turn number 6. Safety car potentially could come out at any point in this race. So far, nobody's made a mistake apart from Lucas, I think, is the only noticeable ever that we've seen. Cameron Dowds, though, Matthew and Tom, Alfa Romeo have got to split. Shazoo have got to split. They've got to come in before Yaron and Yossi catches the train. That is going to be critical for their Grand Prix. As Cameron Dowds is in, Tom stays out. So Tom electing to stay out, go that extra lap for Matthew Hall into the pit lane along with Cameron Dowds. This race now turning absolutely fascinating in terms of tactics.
Yeah, Shazoo Veloce. So that is the split that we'd expect from the two of them now. So, of course, Tom will lead from Sammy Chemsey, and then it will be Harvey who's extended his stint out further for FRT. Of course, 3-second penalty on his shoulders, but expecting that would be a hard, soft stint. I was expecting that there may be some more that elect to go for that soft tie. I think Harvey possibly might be going to. The FRT have got nothing to lose in that front. Sammy Chemsey is absolutely burning through all of his electrical energy. 0% as he goes into turn 5. So absolutely are now definitely coming in at the end of this lap. That is surely got to be for certain, as Lucas has retired in the pit lane. He's had enough of this race. I think that's after 9 seconds worth of penalties. I think he's just decided he's had enough, as we've got a little bit of battling happening between G League and between Novus Racing for 15th place. They're looking like they're trying to battle for the race victory. It's only for 15th, lads. Keep it chill. And of course, that is the final point available in WRLD. 1 point for finishing in 15th place. So I think every point will count, especially if you are towards the back of the grid of the midfielders. Anyway, FRT Nico also on that little chase as well for P15, as to be expected. Oh my goodness me, Tom making a critical error going into the pit lane. That's going to cost him time. He hasn't got an issue as regards of speeding in the pit lane, but that was mighty close going in, locking up all 4 tyres and nearly spinning out. But it will be a medium tyre going on in the end. Sammy Chemsey will stick behind him, but where is he going to come out in relation to the drivers in front of him? Cameron Dowd has got a massive jump on those in front here. Markados has also managed to earn big time as well. Matthew Hall is also out as well. They're coming out side by side here. They're going to be coming back as far out here as Axe, actually, for Novus Racing here. So that extra stint has cost them track position, and honestly, being on a medium tyre as well, I wouldn't expect that's actually going to save them that much time when it gets to the end of this race either.
No, definitely not. And this is what I was on about in terms of swings and roundabouts. F7R have now got the advantage as a result. Second and third, they're 3.6 seconds clear of Rufy and Ryan. They have caught, though, Harvey at the wrong point of the track, coming to the right-hand of turn 11 and then until the left-hand of turn number 12. But Tom, how on earth he got that? He was turning the pit lane into a skid pan, quite literally, I think, into the pit lane. He got away with it. I don't know how. But Tom, definitely going to be, possibly going to be looked at by the stewards. But Harvey and Yossi and Yaron are going to go side by side through the middle of those boxes. I think Harvey just wants to get out. Oh, and there's a big lag spike going on here. Matthew Hall and the VSC. And that's Matthew Hall off. And in the wall, Matthew Hall is off. Coming through turn number 12, there was a huge lag spike for Matthew Hall. And I think that has caused absolute carnage. And there's an AlphaTauri into the pit lane as well. I think Marlon is into the pit lane. I think he's got damage. I'm not sure if Axe has got damage as well. He's into the pit lane, as is Nico. Matthew Hall certainly's got damage. He's got no front wing. And a full safety car. Full safety car.
We've got a full safety car, and that has now completely neutralised this race. And F7R's advantage has now been wiped completely clean. So I'm expecting, surely, we're going to have a long stint of people that are going to elect to go onto a soft tyre here. Nico reconnects after disconnecting in this race. His AI has actually brought him in for a set of soft tyres. So actually, he'll be happy in this circumstance that Codemasters have given him that one. That is one hell of a mix-up now, because now F7R, who were looking like they were going to be taking a big advantage going into this race, are suddenly now going to be scratching their heads here. Outplayed Racing are back in it. And this is what we're saying about on track. They seem to be not getting that consistency, but they keep getting great advantages and great situations to Outplayed Racing. The last couple of races, we've had a situation where Outplayed Racing have been able to benefit, and they haven't done. Is this the opportunity to Outplayed Racing are now going to be able to stay within touching distance of this championship, with Veloce now losing out big time all of a sudden? It's been such a topsy-turvy situation, but the biggest winner out of them all so far somehow is NLR. Rufy is on the podium as it stands.
He is on the podium as it stands. Yarona's staying out. Yossi is staying out. I'm just seeing if there's anybody going to bail into the pit lane. I don't think they will, the mediums. I think they'll stay out. Matteo is pitting in. So Matteo is putting in. I think he's the only one that is coming in out of everyone that was on that older set of medium compound tires. Nico's actually retired on track. And that is coming through turn number 12 at Jun Sao. He's retired there. Must have had frame rate glitches galore. And that's why I think we've got the VSC in safety car. I think he's disconnected from the lobby. And then it's caused all of that desync that we were seeing. We were going to see Yossi and Yaron side by side just before that. But in the end, Nico out of the race, Lucas out of the race as well. Matthew Hall down in 18th position. What could it be for him in terms of this race? Gotta feel sorry for him. But in the end, Yaron at Yossi 1-2. Big gainer, though, I think, and I was going to come on to this even before the safety car came out, was Ryan in P4. Huge undercut from him. He was, what, 20th on the grid? and now he's in P4. He is doing the Shizou Tom from Austrian PSGL last season in season 34, where he qualified 20th, finished P1, and then ended up getting a 5-second penalty and putting down to P3. But the less we can know about that, the better. But Ryan doing a fantastic job. He's there in 4th. My only concern, I think, with him and Marquez is they're on older tyres. They're going to be vulnerable towards the end.
Potentially, but the medium tyres will go the distance here for the rest of this race, so I think there will be a slight little bit of vulnerability. Look towards the back, though. 13th through 18th have all elected. They're going to go on a set of soft tyres. That includes Matthew Hall. Of course, after that spin out, whatever happened, resulting in a complete missing front wing, means that, of course, £250,000 thrown at the bank account of Red Bull, meaning a new front wing now on the front of his car. But soft tyres, meaning that he will have to do exactly what Outplayed Racing Ryan has done and climb his way towards the top. The safety car will be out for at least another couple of laps as it stands, with the drivers just trying to get to the back of this queue. Of course, 12-second gap from Axe from Matthew Hall and 6 from Gil to Axe as well. But as it stands so far, it is Jerome leading the way from Yossi, and then Rufate with Ryan, Lou and Furious. Marquez in 7th from Cameron Dowds and Shizou Tom. They're the biggest losers in this one, Shizou, aren't they? They were earning big time in this one, and they've ended up falling to 8th and 9th, perhaps as a result of strategy, with Veloce Academy Sam Chemse in the end in 10th place. Rounding out the top 10, then it's Gili's Ethan on for some good points from Brando, Matteo, and then Marlon, and then Harvey rounding out the point scorers.
Yeah, definitely so. It is going to be interesting in the restart. Luke Humphries, by the way, soon to be World Darts champion there in the chat, saying glad there's a safety car. Was going to be boring otherwise. Yeah, I've got to agree with that, because Yossi and Yaron were, 3.6 seconds clear before all of that happened, and then we had the VSC and safety car come out. Rufy there in 3rd, Ryan there in 4th. Nico, by the way, is blaming the game, apparently, for what happened, and I can only assume that he had severe frame rate drops for him to cause that. And it's unfortunate because we get given technology right in front of us. We get given the game right in front of us as well. Yeah. Not everything of the game is going to be perfect. No aspect of the game is going to be perfect. But when something like this happens, and especially so safety car is in this lap, that is a very late call-in for the safety car. You're on now the virtual Burt Hollander. Now the virtual safety car. We're going to get 12 laps of racing right to the checkered flag, hopefully, with no interruptions. And Yaron and Yossi now can control the pace and now get back underway here in Brazil. Now floors it on the run towards turn number 1. Yaron there leading the way from Yossi in 2nd. Rufy there in 3rd. Watch out for Cameron, Dowds, and Tom. They've had a fantastic restart already past Marquez in towards turn number 1 as well. And I think that was just after the start-finish line as well. So Cameron Dowds through.
So ties a goal
as well.
Oh, it's enormous! Oh, it's an enormous crash, and Tom is out for Team Shizou. It was colliding with Marquez, who was not able to get any kind of traction. The safety car is out once again, and that is as a result of the tyres being cold. The safety car was called in so late, people hadn't warmed the tyres up, and they couldn't go side by side with each other, and they've had an accident. And look at that, the opportunity for Outplayed Racing to maintain some kind of championship contention has now been thrown straight out of the window. Once again, with a mistake from Marquez, who now falls to 17th place with damage on his front wing. I'm sure Sam Chemse is also involved in that incident. He's going to have to change his front wing, I suspect, as well. He might have got away with it. But in the end, the safety car is out once again. And now I'm wondering, are people going to elect to hemorrhage time and hemorrhage track position in order to go for a soft tyre? Because look at ET8, just in that lap alone, up to 8th and 9th place with one driver on a fresh soft tyre.
I personally think stick it out. Judging by Yaron, though, he is miles ahead compared to Yossi. Yossi's trying to back up here, so I wonder if they're going to try and go for a set of soft compound tyres. Yaron is in. Yossi is in. Rufy in. Ryan in. Lou staying out along with Furious. Interesting call for BRT. Cameron Downs is also in. BRT have taken the right bullet here, but they've got Matteo right in behind.
ET8.
They've got Matteo right in behind, though.
ET8, right, this is the shocker. So ET8 have decided they're going to keep out the medium tyre runner alongside Furious and Lou, who are also staying out as well for BRT. Matteo has suddenly become a serious contender for the race victory as a result of this one. Matthew Hall has suddenly welcomed himself back into this event. And look at Novus Racing in 6th as well, and J-League as well in 7th as well, alongside Marlon in NLR for 8th, as well as FRT in 9th. It's such a mixed bag out there at the moment, and Marquez stays out in 10th. And of course, remember, he's had to change his front wing now for a second time by the looks of things in this event. And Outplayed Racing has pitted Ryan. So he was in a good position, was Ryan, but they've decided we're going to hemorrhage the positions. We're going to make you start in 13th, but you're going to be on a soft tyre. But everyone else is going to be on soft tyres, Outplayed Racing. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you. I would have just kept track position with Ryan and focused on the medium tyres. But nonetheless, they've decided to pit the softs. Yossi's also on a set of soft tyres in 15th place, and Jerome is in 11th, and that is probably because everybody crammed into the pit lane, blocked McLaren from being able to leave the pit box, and of course in that situation, Yossi has then lost time because of course Jerome couldn't set off. Have F7R bottled this particular opportunity? There is a real suspicion they might have done here. This is a mixed bag with 10 to go.
They've gambled here, F7R. I'm going to ask Luke Humphries now to do the standings if he's willing to do so, because this has now just turned completely on its head. Lou leads the way, Furious in second, Mateo there in third, Brandox in fourth, BRT 1-2, ET8 3-4. Don't have that on your bingo card until lap 27 out of 36. Lou and Furious, though, leading the way. Actually, Inyo saying, why is there a safety car every time I tune in? You're just a very unlucky person for tuning in at the wrong point. Safety car there, getting deployed out on track. But it was really unavoidable, I think, in the end. Marcos and Tom, I had a really bad camera angle for the incident. You probably caught it better than I did, but Tom and Marcos, it seemed to have the knock-on effect. They both collided. Sammy Chempsey got caught up in that as well. He actually avoided getting the damage, but he has come in subsequently for a set of soft compounder tyres right down the back of the field for Loche Academy. He is having an absolute mare out on track. Tom complaining in the chat as well in Discord saying, good stuff, lad. Not going to repeat the other comment because it is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. But Tom there in 18th position. Unfortunate for him. This hopefully is going to be a good can behave themselves. But it is the penultimate and a legacy division. Get the popcorn out. Get at the edge of your seats. We've got 10 laps of racing. 9 laps of racing even to the checkered flag. This is going to be one wild, wacky ride to the end of the race.
If my math works out right here, as it stands at the moment, if this race was to finish like this, Bunga Racing Team would actually overtake Team Shazoo for 4th place in this championship. So that is a critical one. Oh, safety car's coming in, by the way. And decided to make the call a little bit earlier this time, which is now going to offer the medium tyre runners of BRT, Lou and Furious to decide when they both want to go. Now, if I were Lou, I'd tell Furious, you need to come a bit closer, mate. We need to work together on this one. Try and jump the ET8 boys. They'd expect that the ET8 boys are not going to be able to hold on to the positions quickly, so they need to make these inroads and fast. He's now going to be heading through, and he's actually making some serious pace on this already. Is he going quickly? He has gone early, and he's caught his teammate napping in all of this situation. ET8 have tried to jump here, and if they'd done a Max Verstappen on the race restart, he's absolutely nailed the race restart, has Mateo, but Furious is going to be able to defend alongside the inside, and that is Furious able to defend, no issue at all. Matthew Hall collides ever so slightly with Brando on these medium tyres, but is able to make the roads up to P4, as it looks like Novus Racing is going to get overtaken by, guess who? G-League of all people versus Gil, who's going to have to go around the outside of the Casino de Largo, but in the end he'll have to hold on around the inside line. He'll continue to stay on the inside line as they remain too wide, but in the end G-League will stay in 7th place. Marlon will hold on for 8th, as well as Mateo is trying to make some inroads here for 2nd place around the outside line. ET8 are suddenly getting some serious smiles on their faces here. They are now on their way to potentially taking a race victory here. Matthew Hall is trying to make some inroads fast. He's going to have to go around the outside, and he's going to try his hardest, but he's going to surely have to give the position up here, because that is not the ideal angle, but he's going to go on the inside into John Show. He certainly will the Veloce Academy driver, and he'll be promoted up to P3, but Furious is going to try and hold on for dear life, but he'll have to tuck in behind the Veloce Academy Red Bull, and it looks like to me the position's going to be all done and dusted. Here comes PR Furious, as well as Brando, of all people, decided he wants to get into this battle as well, and ET8 have got a double podium now all of a sudden out as it stands here. Matthew tries to squeeze him out. They collide ever so slightly, but the Mercedes has got the traction. ET8 have got a double podium as it stands. PR Furious now getting into the mix as well. Here comes Novus Racing, Axe as well, down the inside line into turn 4. It's a mixed bag, and I need a breath as Axe tries to hold on down for P5 versus Furious, but in the end, it looks like it's going to stay side by side, and the medium tyre runner is going to be able to hold on. Look at Matthew Hall for for Veloce Academy also getting into the mix as well. He'll have to go around the outside. These soft tyres are working a treat for him, remember. There's still 7 laps to go, but he'll stay in P6. Please take over.
I did say one wild and wacky ride, and that's what we're getting. Ryan to the inside line. Harvey gets the job done. Marcos, by the way, had a spin coming through the first sector, so he is down in 17th. That is him now, pretty much out of contention for this race. Sammy Chempsey and Cameron Dowds are side by side as well, but here's Matteo for the race lead on the back of BRT's loose. 60% of ERS at disposal, doesn't even need it to the inside line and towards turn 1. He's got the fresher compound tyre, he's got the fresher run towards turn 1. Actually doesn't go for the move. Backs off, furious now to the inside line. Brandon still is, and he's into third. Maybe a bit of wishful thinking there from Matteo. Gonna go now on the DRS. Get the overtake mode, and now beautiful stuff from Matteo. Well judged in the end. He is third, he's into the lead. Furious now going ahead with Brando third and fourth position. And Marlon to the inside on, and Matthew Hall looking for the move. G-League's Gilles and Ryan forcing each other off track. 9th and 10th position. What on earth are we seeing here in Brazil? Yossi on the back of Ethan's going to be one to watch out for as well. He's there in 15th. Cameron down 16th. Sammy Chempsey, by the way, has now made it up to nearly 12th position because Harvey and now Rufia side by side in front. Sammy Chempsey now looking to the inside line, trying to get the job done. He is. The Canadian looks towards the inside line, can't find a way through. Marlon's on the inside line though, and Harvey there on the inside line, Rufy there on the outside. Rufy can't find a way through. Matteo now leads 1.1 seconds clear. He's gone for broke. The rest of the field are chasing in his wake right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just keeping an eye out all across the field here, looking at Novus Racing as well. Axe, of course, in P5. Great points currently on the cards here, but they are struggling with ERS, but as is PR Furious as well. Remember, they're on medium tyres, though, in front, as well as Brando. Seem to have really got their medium tyres back up and working here. Remember, of course, they are old medium tyres. Ooh, a bit of a tank slapper, though, from Brando, leaving him hemorrhaging time here. Potentially going to be an opportunity for ET8 to get a double podium. As it stands, it will be one podium at least so far, with Matteo has now pulled a 2-second gap on Lou, but make that Brando, because now it is an ET8 1-2 as it stands. This is a mixed bag. 5 to go as Matthew Hall trying to get in there, and it looks like Marlon has ghosted through Matthew Hall for P6. Remember, this is a battle here between NLR and the Veloce Academy. He's going to remain inside the Red Bull driver to try and take an advantage of having the racing line available to him, but of course he will have also the toe of those in front of him. They're still inside each other as well, as I'm sure that's going to be on F1 League with Racing Without Context. Keep an eye out on NLR's Marlon, who tries and stays inside Matthew Hall at the moment. Surely at one point the Veloce Academy driver is going to have to give this position up. He goes for the position, but it looks like he's going to have to say that is it. It is done. He stays in 7th, but look at NLR's Marlon. He's got no electrical energy whatsoever left in that Alpha Tauri RBPT engine, and that is going to leave him vulnerable to an attack potentially from Matthew Hall, but he is now down to 0% ERS as Lou has managed to re-overtake Brando for P2 in this battle between ET8 and BRT. While this is all happening, we've still got people battling, and a mistake from Marlon is now allowing Matthew Hall up to P6 and Jerome up to P7, and while this is all happening, Yossi is down to 15th of all people. We've now got 3 wide potentially going into turn 4 as he got 2 battles happening here potentially going round there, and it looks like Jerome has made the overtake on Marlon. Gil is still side by side with Outplay Racing's Ryan. They're touching wheels. That's not where you want to be around this particular corner, but what a move from Ryan, up to 9.
No!
Oh no, towards the back.
Roofy in the wall as well, and that's a VSC. VSC deployed out on track, and all of that spawned from Gilles going side by side ahead. Sammy Chempsey got absolutely chopped up at the bit there, coming through turn 6 of Ferradura. On board with him there. He deserved more room than that in the Veloce Academy, man. He's there in 11th. Roofy there in the wall did not deserve that at all. Just very aggressive racing and very hard racing, coming to absolute pot in the end. What is not pot, though, ET8 have got a 1-2. Brandox and all of that, by the way, got back through and he's into 2nd ahead of Lou. Well, Furious there in 4th. Lap 33 of 36 about to begin. Matteo leads, Brandok 2nd, Lou in 3rd, and my God, I think we need a break after this one.
We do need a break after this one. I definitely need a break here. It looks like we're about to go green again in just a fraction of a second. It's worth making note while this is all happening, of course, the VSC is out. Everyone can harvest energy, so that's going to give everyone their ERS back, and that is going to then re-energize this entire race with 3 laps to go before we crown a winner. Well, we're still waiting for the VSC to be coming out. Occasionally flashing on my screen to suggest that is about to an end, but then it restarts again, and there again you can see disconnect. So are we now going to see the VSC come to an end any second now. We're going to get racing for another 2.5 lap dash to the end of this race with everybody's ERSs is going to be energized and ready to go. These drivers are going to be energized and ready to go. We're going to crown a winner tonight. We ain't going to crown a champion. All of the top 3 as it stands at the moment are all over the shop as a result of this. The DRS is enabled and we go green again here in Brazil, and as it stands, Mateo has had a really big jump now, 2.5 seconds the gap between Brando here, and it looks like Matthew Hall and Axe getting into a little bit of a battle. Matthew Hall is hemorrhaging positions, he's down to 7th. Jerome now up to 6th place. Oh, it's a big tank stopper, and Matthew has lost the position. My voice is going. Oh, and he's retired on circuit. He's rage quit from this race, and Veloce Academy are earning nothing as it stands now as a result of that one, with only Sammy Chemsey getting 10th place. It'll only be a fraction of points available to them. That's a rage quit. Matthew jumped the gun, he lost the tyres, and he's out of this race.
Yeah, such a shame from Matthew Hall. I think all of that spawned from... Oh, as there's more contact through turn 1. That's Jerome dropping positions as well. Ryan now side by side with him. OP against F7R, round whatever it is now between them both. And now they run side by side down the straight. Ryan and Jerome.
Oh, dear me.
Please end well. Jerome to the inside line. Gets the job done. Beautiful racing in the end from the F7R man on the OP man. They've both got the fresh compound and tyres compared to Marlon and behind as well. This race is absolutely all over the place. Gilles has gone for a spin as well. I'm not sure if that was contact with Sammy Chemsey, if I'm not mistaken, but Gilles actually got beached there on the inside. Furious and Axe side by side. I don't know where to look. Furious and Axe to the inside line now. Goes the Novus Racing man, the Williams to the inside line. Jeroen on the back. We're going to have a heart attack before this race is over. Mateo leading the way. Lou in second. Brandok's there in third. All quite at the front end. All quite on the western front for Mateo. But now Lou has got trouble in behind. Brandok's there in second. Brandok's now... Lou there in second. Brandok's in third. Trying to close him down. In towards turn number 1 once again. Closing in. Not close enough. He's got 84% of EOS at disposal. He'll use that down and towards the seat of the Largo at turn 4.
So as it stands so far, though, the team that's only been able to get one particular, looks like G-League's Ethan also making a mistake as well, down to 12th place, will be 13th as well. By looks things around the outside for Cameron Dowds for Team Shazoo. But it looks like FRT Harvey's going to be giving a nice toe to the potential drivers. Are going to go in 3 wide, potentially into turn 4, as it looks like there's a bit of a mistake happening there. Brando getting a 3-second time penalty for his troubles, and it's a spin out there for BRT's Lou, and that is a disappointing circumstance for BRT because they were on for big points here. While this is all happening, ET8, the team that have only got 1 podium so far this season, are currently on for a double. Jerome, though, is trying his best. He has a mistake from Brando. He's going to go around the outside line there as Axe is also round as well, people. It looks like Ryan is round as well. So Outplayed Racing are dropping points left, right and centre as it looks like Jerome is potentially on it and gets the position. And it looks like F7R have finally been able to get themselves back on the podium. Yossi is up to 7th. It's not the points haul that they wanted, but it is one hell of a recovery from the team in orange. As it stands, though, Mateo is going to be leading and taking the victory in this race by 4 seconds. BRT are crossing everything that they've got. The Furious can take a second place for them, though.
I think he's got enough because there goes Jerome now under pressure from Brandok's, under pressure from Marlon. How's Marlon in this race, by the way? He's now up to 4th. Brandok's there now in 3rd. Jerome in 5th. Yossi and Sammy Chemsey are going to run side by side. Buckle up for this battle. Here comes Veloce Academy and F7R once again on the final lap of the race here in Brazil. Yossi now trying to get within the toe of Sammy Chemsey. Got no percent of battery left. Tries to look to the inside line if he can. Doesn't risk it in the end. Fair play to them both. Sammy Chemsey there in 6th. Yossi there in 7th. Cameron Dowds really hunting for anything at this stage. He's running low on fuel though, Cameron Dowds. He's got to watch out to try and get to the end of the race with that low fuel. Mateo though leading the way. ET8 have taken the full initiative in this race. They have been absolutely brilliant in the second half. Mateo absolutely deserves everything that is going to come to him from this race win. The race has been topsy-turvy. Cameron Dowd and Yossi, speaking of topsy-turvy, are side by side in the background. But Mateo now coming through the final corner. We'll give Jossa's voice a rest for the finish. Now coming through the final corner. Mateo on the run to the line. He can celebrate. Doesn't want to get too cocky, however. Mateo to the line. Wins here in Brazil. Amazing. Furious in second. And a drag race to the line because Jerome is catching Marlon very quickly indeed. But in the end, Jerome getting 3rd. Cameron Dowd and Yossi 4th and 5th in the end. Absolutely. I don't know how to describe that race. That was carnage, if anything. Mateo wins. Furious second. Jerome in 3rd. Both BRT and ET8 there pulled an absolute blinder under the safety cars. Full credit to them both for finishing 1-2.
So the team that only managed to get one podium this season in one race has managed to get 200% of the podiums that they've got throughout the entire season. It's an amazing effort from Matteo and ET8 of all teams to take a race victory here tonight and to take a double podium for their troubles as well. Not sure what happened with Marlon. I didn't see if he got a time penalty or not, but he absolutely tanked down the standings at the end of that race as well. So whether that's a thing that needs to be reviewed or whether it was time penalties or not, we'll see at the end of this podium ceremony, because it is about Team Mercedes. And what an effort, by the way, from Furious on that old set of medium tyres to get second place as well. It's a great performance from the former Parnell Racing man, now racing for the Aston Martin outfit at Bunga Racing Team. But it is all about ET8. They made that strategy work, deciding not to pit under the first safety car. They betted on there being some carnage, and my God, did they get that right. They take 40 points from their haul of what is such a very little in comparison. I mean, this season so far, if I'm right in saying, ET8 themselves only ended with, I think they've only got 131 points themselves, and they've managed to get, I think, possibly around about a third of their points that they've got throughout the season in one race. What a performance in the end from them, though, with Matteo and then Furious, and then Jerome in third from Alfa Romeo, Kick, Cameron Dowds in fourth, Yozzing in fifth. They've got Ethan in sixth for G League, and then Axe in seventh. So I think there needs to be some things reviewed here, because I was under the impression that Mercedes got a 1-3, so unless Brando got time penalty, he did. He got a 3-second time penalty, which saw him tank down the standings. That's disappointing, actually, for ET8 in the end, but great race nonetheless from them. And then towards the front, of course, towards the back, rather, we had a real mixed bag, but in the end, Outplayed Racing losing out big time at a 9th place.
Going forward into the final race of the season, I'm just trying to get the standings up on my end just to confirm everything that is going on right now. It looks as if F7R are now in the lead of the championship, judging by the early points hauls and the early points that are getting put into the spreadsheet. It looks as if F7R are leading the championship by 8 points over OP, who are in second on 443. 451 for F7R, 443 for Outplayed Racing, and Veloce Academy, they're on 386. Still mathematically in contention with the point scores, and I make that 451 take away 386. I make that 57 points, I think, between first and third.
So yeah, 57, and it looks like, by the looks of things, we're still waiting on all the points to be added in. So we will get full clarification on this one, but I'm getting a total of potentially 6 points separating F7R and Outplayed Racing, but in F7R's favour, so they'll take the lead in the championship as it currently stands, which is mind-blowing considering, you know, where Outplayed Racing were throughout this season, and then in the end they've just lost points, not able to find consistency, and they are now falling off a cliff. And I think, to be honest with you, a lot of people fell off a cliff tonight, and honestly I think there's going to be some reflections and some candid feedback from certain teams like Veloce Academy. You cannot retire from a race like that and expect to get away with that kind of behaviour. Matthew Hall, I'm calling you out on that one, my friend. Don't retire from races like that one, because that is just such a missed opportunity now for Veloce Academy. They are, although mathematically might still be in it, are in a little bit of a back seat, you have to say, going into Las Vegas on that one. But, you know, let's look at the middle ground. You know, the midfield. Novus, big points in Axe. Bunga Racing Team, big points in Furious. Team Shazoo, they were looking like they were going to earn big points. Doesn't look like they've got anything near big points now. I think they've got 22 points from a solid 4th place in the end. I think it was from Cameron, in that one. And then G League, big points to them as well. 6th place finish for one of their drivers as well. So it's such an impressive bout for the midfield, that one. Those are the kind of races, if we take what George Russell said way back when, these are the kind of races where the midfield teams have got an opportunity to earn big, and they have delivered tonight.
Yeah, they have delivered, and do you know what? It makes it a hell of a lot more interesting in terms of the mid-pack battle as well. We've got Team Shazoo, Bunga Racing Team, and then Novus Racing, all separated by roughly about 60 points. So those 60 points can easily be whistled away. Of course, we've got the final race of the season in Las Vegas. God knows what we're going to see in Las Vegas. From my experience, it's not going to be fun, put it that way. But hopefully the drivers do behave themselves. Hopefully the racing is as good as possible. Apparently Matteo wants to start yapping according to Bass there in the chat as well. We could get him in for an interview if you want him to. He's actually in the waiting room, so if you do want to drag him in.
I think we should drag him in, actually, and let's see and have a conversation with the race winner in the end, because I think it was a great performance nonetheless from a lot of the drivers out on the field, but we have to have a conversation with Matteo. How the hell did you manage to do that?
Can you wait a moment, please?
I could wait a moment. I could wait as much as we need. There's absolutely no issue at all. We can take a look at what we've got around us as well with the likes of Outplayed Racing. I think while we wait for Matteo to be ready, Outplayed Racing, it's such a shocker, isn't it, from Outplayed Racing? Again, they're just falling off a cliff. They've only managed to get, I think it's 10 points in the last 2 races for a team that's fighting for a championship. That is something that needs to be reflected on and needs to be reflected on urgently. PlayStation, who do you call on for Outplayed Racing for Las Vegas to try and take this race victory and don't be known as one of the biggest bottlers to have ever happened in the team's championship?
They've honestly got to go for their strongest lineup. I'm looking at Louis Valentin and Nando potentially as their strongest lineup for Las Vegas. Both of them did well around there in PSGL. Hopefully, they're both going to be available. Mubarak is very strong around there as well. Benza is a bit of an unknown, but he finished 3rd actually in Las Vegas in PSGL, so he's definitely going to be there. Hopefully, he's available. They've got a lot of talent. As of F7R, it's going to be very fascinating to see how the points do add up. But it's 8 points separated by F7R and OP going into the final race of the season. But hopefully, now that we've yapped on a little bit, hopefully Matteo is ready now.
Yeah, I'm thinking Matteo might be ready in this one. I see that he's just unmuted himself. 181 points in a race victory now for ETA. Great performance from yourself. Congratulations. What was the mindset for your team then? Obviously, that first safety car, you guys decided, no, we're not doing it. We're going to stick on a medium. And obviously, you had already gone for the softs anyway. So that fell in your favour. But what a performance to get past everyone and just take the race victory tonight. ETA must be well happy.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
We can.
Okay, so it was a crazy race. I was looking to keep my Q3 streak alive. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that. It is what it is. But I knew that even if Brazil is a difficult track to overtake on, indeed, I think you saw that. I knew we had a good chance for points, but I never thought I could find myself up into P1. Once again, after the podium in Silverstone, I gotta thank my engineer, Lifebot, because in both races, he was just on point with the decision on both safety cars this time, not only one like it was in Silverstone. And yeah, once I found myself between the 2 BRT guys, I just managed the race like I had to do. And yeah, that's our first win in the Legacy division.
Yeah, it's a great win actually for yourselves as well, and obviously you only managed to get. I mean, on circuit it was a double podium, wasn't it? In the end, obviously the penalties applied, made it a disappointing. So I think it was 7th in the end for your teammate, but nonetheless a great performance to take that race victory. We've got Las Vegas coming up. You're on 118, I think. 181, sorry. Your nearest rivals at the moment are NLR, and they are 246. There's a bit of a gap between there, but you've still got that battle with G League, which now you're surely got to consider yourselves to be in massive favour against G League and against FRT now.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to continue what we did tonight in Las Vegas. I can't lie, it's been quite a tough season for us after my podium in Silverstone. It was looking good, but after that race, honestly, just went a bit downhill, I gotta say. Maybe some races we didn't really have the pace to be at the top, but a lot of bad luck obviously struck on us. But yeah, tonight we had our redemption. We're already celebrating a lot, and to be honest, we're just really happy. We're gonna enjoy our last race in Las Vegas, and hopefully we do as well as tonight.
James.
My only question for you, Matteo, is that second safety car. What was the decision for you to stay out? You had Brandox in behind. The BRT guys followed you as well. Who made that crucial call for you in the end to stay out and eventually get that race win?
Since the safety car came out, I always thought I had to stay out and not pit because, I had just pitted for new softs. But like always, for the strategy calls, I wait for confirmation from the engineer, which in this case was Lifebot, as I said earlier. But yeah, for both me and Brando, he decided the strategy on both safety cars.
which is really good. And in the end, it was an absolute bolt out of the blue. It was a fantastic strategy call, and congratulations, of course, on your race win. Definitely one to savour, I'm sure. And ETA have been knocking on the door. You mentioned that you finished third in, I think it was your first ever race in Legacy Division for ETA in Silverstone. And now coming back with a race win and backing off onto the final round of the season, cannot be going into better form. Certainly, Jota, though, that is all from me. Congratulations to Mateo on the race win.
Thanks.
Yeah, and a big thank you to every single one of you tuning in for what has been an absolutely fantastic Brazilian Grand Prix, as Brazil usually delivers, let's be candid. We are on our way to a season finale in Las Vegas, where we've got 3 teams all battling it out to try and take that title. Who's going to win? Let us know at WOR League _ on X, across all the different platforms. Join us on Discord, have a chat with us, please. We've got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, about that one. We'll see you next week for that season finale. Ta-ra.